morning!
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is where Wisconsin wakes up. It's Daybreak with Brian Noonan and Jamie Martinson. Here are your hosts, Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy Friday. You are listening to the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
Good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. Glad you're here. If you want to get a hold of us this morning, it's easy to do. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. That'll get you either texting or calling. And if you do call, be nice to Parker. It's Friday. The young boy needs happiness. He couldn't even put on a regular shirt today. He's just wearing an undershirt.
It's an American Eagle shirt.
Oh, is it? It just looks like a white
There you
undershirt.
go.
All
Yeah,
right.
And I'm wearing pink pants.
Wow.
There
Look
you
at
go.
you. Very
You're
stylish.
making a
I
fashion
try my
statement.
best.
Look at that drip. Very nice.
I got drip, Brian.
I know you got drip, Parker. There's no doubt about it. I've been calling you a drip since I met you.
Oh?
Yeah, I don't know what that meant. All right, well, it is Friday. This is exciting. Most of us, or a lot of folks, I don't know if most, a lot of folks have Monday off for Memorial Day, and so instead of going to work, they'll sleep late, they'll have barbecues. Hopefully, they'll take a couple seconds to realize why they have the day off. That would be a good day. And can we also, every year this gets to me, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm not a veteran. I didn't lose anybody in the war, but I'm a stickler for the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
Yes.
And there's a huge difference. Veterans Day honors all veterans, living, dead, everything. Memorial Day is just to pay tribute to the men and women who died in service to this country. There is a big difference. And I think even veterans, I'd love to hear from you if this is true. You don't want it confused either, but people either, because they're so worried about posting something on social media to virtue signal that, oh, look, we care about our veterans, that they conflate the two, and then they get all snippy when you correct them and go, listen, and that the correction isn't to say veterans don't matter,
Right.
because they do, but this is a whole different thing.
And I don't know why it would be a social media thing, and why anybody would be upset if you supported veterans or memorialized the fallen, or
if you correct them, they're like, well, what's the difference? Don't you? It's it's well, I don't know. Living veterans probably think there's a huge difference between being a living veteran and being somebody who died in war.
Here's the thing that I always tell people, and I know we depend on a lot of technology. Use Google. Just use Google. I mean, it will help you out so that you can find all of the mysteries of the world if you really need to know the differences. Now, I would hope that some of us are smarter and we just know some of these things off the top of our heads. I know we all have people in our life, though, that you could probably just say, use Google. It will help you. It's your friend.
Yeah, it's not that hard. And I didn't mean, listen, we're starting a Friday by chastising people. But before you go into the weekend, as Jamie said,
remember.
Google it a little bit. Just Google it a little bit.
Just remember what the holiday is. I think here's the thing, and when it comes to like places, holidays like Memorial Day and Labor Day, I think the true meaning behind these holidays and these particular moments in time get lost because all everybody thinks is, I have a 3-day weekend and it's the unofficial kickoff to summer. That's all people are thinking about. And you forget the true meaning.
I'm guilty of it too. My first thought is, oh, we don't have to work on Monday. Now, then I'll think about why we don't have to work on Monday. And when Molly was in high school and played in the bands, every Memorial Day there was in our little town square, like in a lot of town squares, and we're going to cover it in towns all across the network. There's these ceremonies on Monday. In ours it was the reading of the names of the local people who died in service to this country, and the ringing of the bell and the flag raising and stuff. And it was always very moving. It struck me every year that we went to this, how many people there were. And I was like, boy, I lived in a little town. I didn't realize that many that many people not only had been, I mean, you always know there's a lot of veterans out there,
Right.
but that had been killed in service to the country. I was like, whoa, wow.
We just
That's-
all we're asking is for you to take a moment over this long 3-day weekend and remember why you might actually have the day off. Remember why you're actually celebrating, and as you mentioned, we'll talk about some of the celebrations and moments that are going to happen across the state. But just remember, and if you don't really know the difference, educate yourself, because we all need to do that at different times about different things. And yes, no, we don't want to chastise anybody, but just
I like chastising
I
people.
feel
I
like
like proving people wrong.
this is true. I feel like we need to take time in our lives, all of us, at certain moments to better educate ourselves, and take that time to be like, hey, I don't really know why we do this, so maybe I should learn at some point.
And as you said, it's not like you have to take a 6-hour master class. You
No.
do 30 seconds on the computer,
It's amazing.
And I am going to have my flag out, whether it draws the ire of hardcore liberals or not. That's the way it goes.
See,
But I am
American
looking
can
forward to
play.
a little. I am also looking forward to a little time off.
course.
A Sunday where there's no Sunday scaries.
Right.
That's always nice.
Yes.
Now we'll have Monday
Hopefully.
scaries.
Fingers crossed, anyway.
Well, I
Alicia-
mean, unless you're going to call us in for an emergency show, which is fine. Let me know if the world goes more crazy
Right.
on Sunday, and we need to it.
Yeah.
Yes, Alicia, who we know is a veteran, she
Yes.
messages us all the time. She says, "Yes, to us veterans, Memorial Day is very different from Veterans Day."
Yeah.
I assumed that, but to be honest, I knew I wasn't wrong because
I wonder, as veterans, if sometimes they just get tired of explaining it to the rest of us. Right? I mean, I wonder if there comes a point in veterans' lives where they're just like, you know what, I tried, never mind.
And also,
Because-
can I bring this up too? Since we're talking about this, we've started the show on a different note than I think any of us thought we were going to. Do veterans ever get tired of people saying thank you for your service? Because in some cases, I don't know how many people actually
Right.
are, but they think that's what they're supposed to say.
Right.
And while veterans have had an important job, they were,
Yeah.
I have me asking that is not shade on veterans. I think everybody's
Right.
clear on that. But it's like, how many people say it just because they think they're supposed to say it? And
Right.
if you're a veteran and somebody finds out you're a veteran and they just say that, are you like, shut up? Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Or do you just, well, thank you? Because, we've seen how America treats its veterans, and it's
Right.
not really with gratitude.
No,
It's more
not.
with just ignoring them and cutting their services and just basically disdain.
Yeah. My husband is always one of those people who always says thank you, but he sincerely means it, especially when he sees a veteran with a Vietnam vet hat on or a bumper sticker. His dad was a Vietnam veteran, and we
And
lost
they
him
got
a few-
nothing when they
They
came
got
back.
nothing,
except
and we
scorn.
lost his dad a few years ago to the ramifications of Agent Orange, right? Which
Oh,
is
wow.
not a story untold
No.
for Vietnam veterans, and had lots of lung issues. Ended up having to go through all of the process and the work over the years to actually get the benefits, because, as you mentioned, they were treated so poorly when they came home, and those veterans missed out on a lot of medical help and mental health help. And so we did lots of paperwork over the years to make sure that my father-in-law received some of the care, especially at the end, that he deserved as a veteran,
Sure.
as all veterans in this country absolutely deserve. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't know when. I mean, at one point in this country, right? And again, if you're a veteran listening this morning and you do want to chime in, we would actually love to hear from you. 1-855-752-4842, 1-855-75-CIVIC. When did we quit honoring our veterans? When did we quit honoring?
Vietnam was
it
when it
Vietnam?
started. Because
Okay.
World War II, we beat Hitler. So everybody, we saw.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we saw the way people were treated when we came home, and there was the VA was created, and my dad went to school on the GI Bill, and there was there was a lot of that kind of stuff. So I think after, like I said, after World War II, because then we got into Korea, and that's where my dad
Sure.
was. And, nobody was really sure why we were in Korea. It was a whole big thing.
Right.
And so, but it wasn't as bad as Vietnam. Vietnam,
Yeah.
because everybody here had taken to the streets. There were protests everywhere, and veterans were being spit on and taunted and scorned when they came back. And that was it. And then there was that time, I think there was a public sentiment at some point, not for everybody, but, the military used to be an alternative for some people rather than going to jail.
Yes.
Judges used to sentence you to, you could either, and Parker, you probably didn't know this, but that was a thing. If you were a delinquent like yourself and you got into trouble, the judge could say, well, you either go to jail or you join the Army.
Yeah, I've heard that before, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that people were like, well, these, it's criminals that are going into the armed services,
No,
which we know
it's
was not the
always.
total case, but it was no, I know that
Yeah, I
wasn't
get-
the
no,
whole
I-
case,
no, I
but
get
it was a perception that was held by most people that it wasn't the kind of career you chose, despite
Right.
evidence to the contrary from all the men and women who chose the military as a career. So that's, long way to answer your question. I think it was Vietnam was when it started.
Well, if you're listening this morning, you are a veteran, or you're somebody who's currently serving, or you're even a family member, thank you for your service, because you do something that the rest of us, some of us are never going to be brave enough to do. So we appreciate all that you sacrifice. Now, if you do want to honor some of these veterans over the course of the next few days, there are actually ceremonies happening all across the Talk Network. If you are in Madison listening this morning on MDX, there's this one's really cool. The annual ceremony at the Wisconsin State Capitol is returning Monday morning at 10 a.m. That's after a 6-year hiatus. So if you want to be a part of that, you can be at the Capitol. There's also going to be an early morning ceremony that will take place at Forest Hill Cemetery. That's at 8 a.m. And then a Sunset Memory Garden.
Yes.
There's going to be a Memorial Day parade. 9:30. I love a good parade. I really, really do. I always get excited about a parade. That's at 9:30. Starts at Wilson Park, ends at Owen Park if you're in Eau Claire. There's also going to be a formal ceremony that follows the parade at the band shell at Owen Park. And then they're going to have some cemetery ceremonies throughout the mid-morning as well. But the festivities, you could say, because some of these are true celebrations put on by American Legions, and that's going to happen across the state.
Yeah, the Hayward's got a lot of stuff happening. Wisconsin Rapids has ceremonies going on. Wausau is having a parade, but their parade is Saturday in downtown Wausau. And then the Remembrance service is Monday at 11 o'clock. And then La Crosse has a parade on Memorial Day, flag placements, and a final tribute to be held at Riverside Park. So everywhere along the network is doing things. And if you're up early and you can hit one of those, it is a moving experience.
Yes.
And it kind of highlights things. Then you can go have your hamburgers and your beer and
That's
your
right.
brats, and you can
Good way to
just
remember why you're not off at work for some of you.
take a nice nap. When we come back, there is so much more. We're just getting started. It's Friday morning. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network. And here we go.
Oh, my goodness. I gotta. Oh, let's see. Oh, Tom in New Berlin says, Navy vet tomorrow going to place flags at Woods Memorial and a special one for my dad, a World War II vet Navy. Also, thanks for bringing up this subject. It's nice. We can, if we want, we can quick start with that.
Sure, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, I gotta send these photos off quickly before I forget. Nothing ever works the way I want it to. knew if I didn't do that, send that off, I was going to completely forget.
15 seconds till we're back.
Local news, community stories, and the conversations that matter most. Now, more Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. Hopefully you are having a great start to your Friday. It is very bright. It is very early, but we're here. And we're going to persevere through so that we can get to the weekend. My name is Jamie Martinson.
Yeah, Jamie, we're not going to get much sympathy. We have 2.5 hours before we
we
get to the weekend. So I think we'll be all right. We did though get some text. We were talking about Memorial Day and the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day and all the great remembrances and ceremonies that are going to be happening over the weekend. And we got a text from Tom in New Berlin. He says, Navy vet tomorrow, going to place flags at Woods Memorial, and a special one for my dad, a World War II vet. Also, thanks for bringing up this subject. Well, you're welcome, Tom. Everybody should be thinking about it, and that's one of the reasons we get to have a holiday.
That's right. And thank you very much for the text this morning.
Yes.
If you do want to join in on the conversation today, 1-855-752-4842, 1-855-75-CIVIC. Important number because I think as we get into this next topic, we would like, some opinion from our listeners.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Because this is, listen, we can all agree that sometimes things happen and they don't go our way. And you can either accept it and let it go, or you can keep screaming about it, which is what Matthew and Annette Flynn are doing. They, Parker, you go to the Brewers games all the time. I've been to the Brewers games. Do you buy tickets for the 50-50 raffle?
No, I don't. I've never been a losing money kind of guy.
You went into radio. That completely discounts your last statement.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm sorry to
You
burst your
rocked my world,
worldview,
Brian.
but anyway. Jamie, I know you bought 50-50, so you're giving it to charity. It's $2 a ticket. The people come around, they go, oh, you buy this, and then because you see the number on the scoreboard, what you could take home.
Oh, it's exciting.
Sometimes it's like $13,000. Well, that's what it was when the Flynns were at the game, and this happened in May 19th. So an appeals court has disagreed with these poor people because what happened was they were there and they were sitting in the outfield, it sounds like. They were in section 234, row 9, seat 9. Why is that important? It proves that she was at the game. The scoreboard, however, was behind her, which is one of my only it's most ballparks.
Yeah.
It's at AmFam, it's even harder though. In a lot of spots you don't get to see the huge jumbotron and the big scoreboard. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's a design flaw. That's not up for argument here. The argument is there's a rule that says if your number is called, and they do it at the top of the 7th. So they call the number at the bottom of the 6th. You have till the top of the 7th to get to the table. Well, that's where the problem comes, because she didn't see her number called right away. Then she finds out it's her number. And I don't know if that's the sound she made, but it seems like it would be.
We're going to pretend it is. That's a good one. Yes.
Because it was up to $13,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Imagine going to a game and leaving with $13,000.
Yes.
Well, then she asked an usher where to go. And the usher sent her down to guest services. Well, that's not where she was supposed to go. She had to make it up to the 50-50 table, which was on the concourse, which is where she was sitting until the usher sent her down to the other place. She got there late.
Oh, no.
She got to the table late. They said, sorry, we already drew another number because you were late.
Wow.
Well, instead of just being sad, she got litigious.
Yeah.
And they did.
Now,
they went to small claims court.
This has been going on for 3 years, though, right?
Yes.
Like, this wasn't just a couple games
No,
ago.
this has been going on
3 years.
Because they
been
went
fighting
to
for this.
Yeah, and just recently, an appeals court said, you're done. Stop. But they said they might go to the Supreme Court. All right, when is enough enough?
That's the
Small
question.
claims said, no, you don't have a case. The appeals court said, no, you don't have a case. I empathize with these people because that would be awful.
Yeah.
And I would be
to know-
furious with that usher.
Yes.
There could be some sort of verbal and or not really physical abuse heaped on this usher for sending me when I could have walked 3 feet and been to the right place. But instead, they sent me downstairs, who then sent me back upstairs. And you know, those concourses are crowded. You can't get anywhere fast.
Yeah. And I think to make this worse is by the time she finally got to the table, right? And to be clear, they're suing the Brewers Community Foundation.
Sure.
But by the time she got to the table, the foundation officials told her that because she didn't get there in time, they already drew a new ticket.
Yeah, that's
And that person had already claimed their $13,000 prize.
so somebody went home with $13K.
Wow.
It just
That's-
wasn't them. And again, I sympathize. That would be awful.
I sympathize, but here's the other thing. If you know where your seats are at, right? And because they do the announcements in the stadium, and I get sometimes it's hard to hear. I'm not saying that, but they do the announcements in the stadium, and you hear that they're doing the 50-50 raffle drawing. And if you know where your seats are at, and you know that you can't actually see one of the big boards from where you're at, but you know you bought the ticket, don't you try to actually do something to see the board?
See, but I like I said, I buy these tickets and I always figure it's a sunk cost. I don't anticipate winning. And
True.
unless I happen to be looking at the board when they put it up, I would have no idea where to go either. So part of me is like, you got to have your ushers and your staff know
Right.
exactly where to send people. Now that's a Brewers training question.
Yes.
You don't
course.
sue the charity because the rules are there. The rules are the rules. Whatever reason you didn't make it, you didn't make it.
Here's the other thing that I think about with this story. They won $13,000. How much have they spent in legal fees over the last 3 years, right?
Well, they didn't win the 13. They left with
There's that,
nothing,
yeah.
and now
Wow.
they're like, to your point, they're spending all this money to try to
Yeah.
do it. All right. Let's do a postmortem of the 2024 election after the news, shall we? I'm Brian
Sure.
Noonan. This is Daybreak.
I'm Jamie Martinson. It is 6:29 right now. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's the Civic Media Network.
What?
My poor kid.
No, not doing too bad.
My 19-year-old Dexter is so sick. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, no. Did he catch it from Corey?
Yeah. And he hasn't, that's what Parker and I were talking about. He hasn't been sick in probably close to a year with
no.
anything. So it's hitting him extremely hard. And I got up this morning and he was roaming around the house.
Oh, jeez.
And I was getting dressed and was going downstairs and I walked downstairs and he scared the crap out of me because he's just, it's dark and he's just sitting on the couch staring at me. And I was like, well, that's creepy. And I said, are you okay? No.
No. Horrible.
I said, well, what is the matter? I can't swallow because my throat hurts so bad. And he is even hoarse. And he's like, my nose won't open up. I can't breathe. It is 5 a.m. and I haven't slept at all. And I said, and this is the part where with him, I was like, shh, preserve your voice. I said,
Which is a nice way of going, I don't want to hear it.
well, and I said to him, I said, dude, there's not much I can do for you. Have you taken ibuprofen? Yes. I said, have you taken an Advil cold and sinus? Yes. I said, have you drank like hot and cold? Yes and yes. I was like,
Okay,
then I
well,
don't know
then-
what to tell you, dude.
Wow.
I can't just magically make it go away. But see, he has a anxiety and a little bit of OCD. So when things are different, it sucks. He has a really hard time with it. Even when he was little, when he would get sick, like if he had like stomach flu, he'd be throwing up and he'd be screaming on the top of his lungs.
Molly did that. Molly was the worst when she was sick. It was like, oh, stop.
See, and when my kids were little, I would have much rather, and this sounds weird, even as gross as it is, but I would have much rather had my kids have stomach flu because it was quick. Like, it was always super quick. Within like 24 hours, they were better. They were bouncing. They were back to normal. Where with like head colds, when they got sick, I mean, they were down for days.
Oh,
and then they couldn't breathe. And then they were annoying. And they.
More than normal.
Right? I would have much rather had them have stomach flu as long as it wasn't like all over, and they made it to the bathroom than any time when they had like colds or strep or anything. I would have much, much rather had stomach flu because it was just so much quicker.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because I knew within like a day we were going to be, it was probably going to run its course and we were going to be good.
Yeah.
Whenever I'd hear them sniff when they were little, though, I was like, oh, God. And both of them were highly like sensitive to that stuff because of like Max's with his sensory issues and Dexter with having OCD and stuff. So it just made it doubly worse for them. Yeah. It's always miserable anyway, but you add that like sensory stuff on top of it. And so pretty much when they got sick, I knew that I was either going to get, and then I was either going to get it or we were all going to lose lots of sleep. Then I don't know. At some point, I think I just got immune to their germs because then at some point I just, for the most part, quit getting things that they got. Did you ever find that as a teacher? Like at some point your immune system builds up to the little gremlin-y germs?
Yeah. You just, it was making sure I always had a lot of Dayquil and had all that stuff just to battle it. And then getting the flu shot every year, which I had never done till I started teaching because they are gross. There's nothing worse than when a kid sneezes right in your face.
Your face, yeah.
And it's not your kid.
No.
It's just some rando.
Some kid.
Yeah.
It's just some kid.
It's just some kid. And it's like, oh, my God, stop.
Yeah. We used to have that. I don't know what she's yelling about.
I don't know. I can't figure.
Who's screaming?
Good question.
Somebody just walking and like flipping people off.
Oh, it's outside. It's not in the. It's not in the office. I was like,
no.
Who's in the office?
A couple seconds.
Wow.
Want to join in on the conversation? Call or text 855-75-CIVIC. Now back to Brian and Jamie.
Good morning, 6:35 right now. Thank you for listening this morning to the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
Hey, good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. Okay, I know it's 2026, but here's our question for you this morning. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. What's your postmortem on the 2024 election? And I know, just me saying it makes me want to laugh because, Jamie, you and I both know it's 2026. Yes. And usually a postmortem on an election, either the national parties put those out fairly quickly. Well, the Democrats, it'll be surprised to no one when we get into some of the results. But there has been a lot of anticipation for this postmortem, the autopsy from the Democratic National Committee about the election. What happened other than, and why did we lose? What went so wrong that got Donald Trump reelected? Well, the DNC chairman, Ken Martin, said, oh, yeah, the report's coming out. The report's coming. Nope. I'm not releasing the report. There will be no report. Now, well, you kind of get a report, but it's an incomplete version. And we threw a little disclaimer at the top of it when we released it and CNN got it. It's not close to, because Martin said this is not close to being ready for public consumption. Well, dude, we got another election in 2 years, so you may want to crank it up a little bit. Well, anyway, some of it is out. That's the disclaimer at the top that CNN published said that the report reflects the views of the author, who is a Democratic consultant, Paul Rivera, not the DNC. Rivera, who people familiar with the matter say wrote the report as a part-time volunteer.
Here's what I'm going to say. I've read a majority of this report, and we'll get into some of the details of it in just a moment. I don't disagree with the majority of what he said.
Yeah.
Like, I actually don't disagree with a majority of what he says in this report.
What I'm dubious about is why the DNC decided to keep pushing it off and burying it. We know what happened. We lost. Why'd we lose? Well, you're going to step on some toes. But that it's about time they step on some toes.
Don't you want to know what happened? I mean,
No.
I mean, you can live with your head in the sand, I guess, if that's what you essentially want to do.
It's easy that way, Jamie.
But
Then you don't have to face any hard realities.
This is true, and I understand that there's a lot of people who love to go through life that way. But at the same time, I think at some point you have to face what went wrong. And as I said, I don't disagree with a lot of what Rivera had in this report because some of it didn't make sense if you were watching it from afar during the election, right? And for a lot of people, the elections just happen in the peripheral, right? You know about the big stuff, the debates, maybe a campaign stop if it's near your home. But for people who work in politics, you're a little bit more entrenched. And so some of the things that I was watching, doing what we do, I was like, why? That didn't. Some of it didn't make any sense to me. So we can get into some of the details, though.
Yeah, a lot of it made, like you said, to me it made sense too. And I follow politics, but I'm not entrenched. I would say I'm in it, but as a hostage. I feel like I would much rather be free of having to deal with all this, just voting and knowing why I'm voting for, who I'm voting for, and move on with that. So overall, Jamie, and we've discussed this many times, and I think if you're an honest Democrat, this report does not paint a pretty picture for the Democratic Party. It just says, oh, well, the elections have been very close, and that's okay. We don't need to. It's been close. We don't need to rethink how we're doing it, which is, they say, dumb. And I'm paraphrasing.
There was a line in it, and I'm going to read this verbatim because this is a quote. This kind of thinking, talking about the party as a whole and their approach to elections, quote, this kind of thinking, denialist at its core, prevents the party from seeking real accountability and from making the changes we need to deliver on our promises to the American people. The report also went on to talk about since Barack Obama won in 2008, which seems almost 20 years ago now, if you're doing the math at home. It also goes on to say that the party has basically been stagnant and been in some sort of regression. And Rivera also says that as a whole, the Democrats have steadily lost ground since President Obama's success.
Yep. That would make sense.
I don't disagree with that because I think there was this philosophy of let's build off that momentum. Barack Obama built a coalition, but I don't see a lot of keeping that coalition and actually doing what they need to make sure that those voters feel secure or like their vote isn't just expected.
Well, and that's we talked about that the other day when something similar to this came up, and we were talking about how black voters did not feel they needed to vote for Kamala Harris just because she was black, and that the Democratic Party had moved away from doing what they had promised to do. And so why, when you're taken for granted as a voter or anywhere, you tend to move on. And this sentence meant a lot for me. It said that Democratic candidates have proven incapable of projecting strength, unity, and leadership, and voters have drifted away. And we've talked about this ad nauseum since 2016. The Republicans come out and they fight. And they fight and they fight and they fight. And they keep hammering away. And whoever their candidate is, they rally behind that person and they fight. And Democrats, we bicker. We have strongly worded memos. We do not attack. We don't show people that we are willing to go down with the ship fighting for what we believe in and what we believe is best for this country. And Republicans do it all the time. And we have become very soft. and we allowed the labels of woke and snowflake and all of that
Yes.
to become an identity rather than an insult that we argue back against.
I also think at some point, if you're a Democratic voter or somebody within the party who, is trying to figure this out based on this report, I think you have to have a better plan than the other guy is worse.
Yes.
I mean, you have to have a better
100%.
plan. And I'm not saying that Kamala Harris didn't have plans. I think she was probably one of the most prepared people I've ever seen to potentially be in the White House. However, I think the rollout of how the whole thing went down between the last minute Joe Biden deciding not to run, all of a sudden anointing her, I think that rubbed a lot of people within the party very much the wrong way. It rubbed a lot of independents the wrong way. You can go back to, was that right? Was it wrong? Who knows? I mean, the election was lost. Here we are. So hopefully what they've done is look at that and learn a better process and figure out a better way in case those situations ever happen again. But to just basically campaign day after day on the other guy is worse and to not really allow Kamala Harris to have her own messaging on things like the economy, to never really push back on the Republicans, she's your border czar.
Yeah, which was never the case. And
No.
there was a lot of blame to go around. And you're pointing out the good criticisms. These are apt criticisms. And there was a lot of that with the Biden operation, his group keeping her on the fringes like that and not fighting back. And it goes back to what we were just talking about, the strength. If even before he knew he was dropping out, he should have been pushing back on this.
Yes.
That the White House should have been, she is not the border czar. She is doing this and this. She works on this. She does this. But they kind of, and all vice presidents tend to get marginalized to a point.
What I think is interesting, and if you want to jump into the conversation this morning, and if you have opinions on whether or not you agree or disagree with this report or with us, we'd love to hear from you. 1-855-752-4842, 1-855-75-CIVIC. What I think is interesting is that one of the things that the Trump administration did really, really well in this second go around is give J.D. Vance a role right from the start. Now, obviously, I know that's changed over the course of the last few months.
Yeah.
But at the start, it was very much, this is J.D. Vance. He's going to come out and he's going to be the attack dog. He's going to tell you that the policies this president is enacting are good because of this. Whether you agree with that or not, there was a specific role for him. When Kamala Harris got into the White House, when Joe Biden was elected, I'm not sure they really knew what to do with her.
Well, there was the whole controversy because Joe Biden had made the mistake of saying he was going to pick a minority woman to be vice president. So no matter who had been put in there, they were under an extra microscope because were they just there because Joe Biden didn't want to go back on his word and that they wanted to put an African-American woman in the seat. Now, I know she was qualified.
Sure.
You know she was qualified. Most people do. But there were some, even in this party, that were questioning it. Does she really belong as vice president? Weren't there other more qualified candidates, hint, hint, white guys? Weren't there others that could have done the job better? But before we start wrapping this up, there was blame to be placed at Kamala Harris's feet, and a lot of it was how they seem to take a lot of it for granted. This is according to the report. So they said she focused too much on college-educated suburbs. It left gaps with Josh Stein, who was the North Carolina gubernatorial candidate. And so she left big gaps at unwinnable levels. She lagged in rural areas, which proved to be insurmountable in swing states. We saw it here. Harris wrote off rural America, assuming urban and suburban margins would compensate. That is dangerous and stupid.
Which I thought was hilarious, though, because here in this state, there was so much campaigning in the rural areas.
She was here all over.
To the point that there were times that I was like, wow, they're not doing much in the actual urban areas. It was a lot of rural areas that
Sure,
they tended
yes.
to put her in. So I thought that was an interesting
But
analysis.
was it every rural area or just a swing state's
Cer-
rural area? So
that's the question.
That's why
Yes.
we got it here. And it also said, and this goes to your point you made earlier, Jamie, that she didn't define herself adequately against Trump. It wasn't, it was just, he's unacceptable
Yes.
and I'll do this. And
They took it for granted that he
Yes.
was an unacceptable candidate.
And he was.
But
It
they
is.
didn't do enough to, and I think that was it, right? They didn't do enough to position her because Joe Biden she was literally getting lagged down by the economic messaging coming from the Republicans.
Mhm.
She was dragged down by all of that. Joe Biden's economy was much better than it is now. But let's
Yes.
be realistic. It was teetering. It was
Right.
teetering. It was right there on the edge. And I don't believe that there was enough what we heard from her specifically of what she would do differently. In fact, she even said, well, I kind of like what Joe's done, essentially is what she
Yeah.
said. And I plan on continuing to do that. That's not what people wanted
That was
to
a bad
hear.
day. That was a
Yeah.
bad day on The View.
It was.
The other thing that they brought up, and it goes to taking for granted, but this was not just Kamala Harris. This was the whole Democratic Party. They did not really define. They just figured everybody knows how bad Trump is. We don't have to hammer on it. And they actually did. That was a big failure of analysis. With his favorability as low as it was, it should have been, let's focus on this, let's focus on this.
Yeah.
Packers Mount Rushmore. Is Aaron Rodgers on it? We will talk about that with you after this. It's Daybreak. She's Jamie Martinson. I'm Brian Noonan. This is the Civic Media Network.
Okay.
I mean, at some point, Democrats needed to lose the Michelle Obama. When they go low, we
Yeah, we
go
can't.
high.
They need to adopt the Sean Connery in the Untouchables. He brings
Even-
a knife, you bring a gun.
Even Michelle Obama at one point admitted she regretted saying it
Yeah.
based on the current climate. So
Well, no. We'll see if anybody listens.
I
So
don't
far, we don't
know.
have. So who's gonna run? Who's gonna be the candidate?
I think Pete's going to run. And I think
Schwaba?
Yep.
no.
Pete Schwaba's gonna run.
And I think Kamala ends up putting her hat back in the ring.
I think that would be a mistake.
I do too. I would actually be really disappointed. I wish she would have run for California governor.
Mm-hmm. That's not big enough.
Nope, but I think it's a mistake to come back onto the presidential campaign.
Maybe it'll be Hillary.
Oh God. Well, let's just bring them all back. It's fine.
Yeah, bring them all. But greatest hits.
Al
the
Gore can
greatest
run
hits
again
tour.
too. It'll be great.
That'd be fantastic. No,
Bring out Al Gore and Hillary and Kamala.
Well, I don't see anybody in the Congress that I would be like, oh yeah, this person is ready.
AOC keeps
No,
keeps getting floated, but
no.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Come on.
I mean, I think she's got I think where she's at in Congress right now is good for her.
Yeah.
But not.
See, that's
not
the
for
thing.
president.
People they reach above their level of competency.
Right.
You could be doing a good job, and that's an important job. You could be
It
doing
is.
very well there.
And it's not an easy job right
Right.
now, and she's not afraid to say exactly what's happening or what's on her mind. So I can
But
appreciate
job,
that about her.
The big job is, I don't know.
I think my gut tells me that in order to get some of the independents and some of the people that the Democratic Party lost in this election, you're going to need somebody young. You're going to need somebody charismatic, and you're going to probably need a white male. It's just where we're at, I think, right now. I know Andy Bashir has touted potentially running. I could see him, his youth, and he's not young. Let's be realistic, but
Yeah.
but when I say youth, I say that respectfully because he would be very young compared to other candidates who could potentially throw their hat in the ring. But he's talked about it. I think he would resonate well because he does really well in Kentucky. I think but I don't know if he's got the experience.
10 seconds.
Fairly solid, better than expected. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
6:52 right now. We hope you are having a great start to your Friday morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
Good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. All right. Does Aaron Rodgers go on your Packers Mount Rushmore? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. We'll go around the horn in a minute. But first, Aaron Rodgers, if you have not heard, is planning to retire after this season. He has said this is it. This is his 22nd season. He is, of course, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, according to ESPN's Brooke Pryor, when asked Wednesday if the campaign would be his last in the NFL, Rodgers answered, yes, this is it. And then the Atlantic's Brendan Howe reported that he said it as well. The Steelers announced Monday that Rodgers has signed a one-year deal to return for a second season with the franchise. He said Wednesday he had originally some doubt about whether he would retire and hadn't made his decision until after the 2026 NFL Draft wrapped up in April. So Aaron Rodgers still playing. Our resident Packer fans.
He's back.
Yes.
It's a reunion. And it actually surprises me because, boy, that was an icy breakup.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to say, they didn't at the end. They were not chummy.
No, they were not.
Yeah, but can you...
But he had his most success under McCarthy.
And there's no shot that Rodgers would have gone without a retirement tour.
Yeah, this is true.
Oh,
yeah, his ego would not allow him to do that. No, I understand that.
Ayahuasca in every city. A steam hut before the game at midfield.
Parker, I'm going to start with you. Is he on your Mount Rushmore of Packers?
I think he is.
He has to be, right?
Yeah, I think he needs to be because of the fact that and this is piggybacking off of the fact that Brett Favre has to be on that Mount Rushmore as well.
Agreed.
I think, I just think he needs to be because he was able to continue that success.
I mean, are we talking just players? Because if we're talking anybody, then I'm putting like Ron Wolf up there too, right? Because of what he was able to do to turn the team around when he came back in, when he was hired to, basically change the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I would also put Ron Wolf up there as well. Reggie
You only
White,
get 4.
Yeah.
Reggie White would be another one I'd put up because he also changed the franchise. But if you look, the 3 players that I would put up there all kind of came from the same era, under the same coaching tree.
Yeah, it is. For players, I would have Rodgers, Favre, Reggie White, and then I think Vince Lombardi.
Oh, yeah.
Ron Wolf was a really good argument as well. I think I would go to Vince Lombardi first, though, because he laid the foundation, and he did do that front office kind of stuff.
Get 4 people.
You get
just
4.
For the record, there are 4 heads on Mount Rushmore. I'm talking to you, Jamie.
Jamie, you rattled off like 18 names. 45-man roster up there.
I just think that's it. I think there are a lot of options, and it depends on if you want to go really old school to the very beginning of the Packers' history, or if you want to look at the rebuild. Because let's be realistic, as Bears fans, you are all very well aware that in the 1980s this team sucked, right?
Right, but you have to. I think you have to. If it were me as an outsider, it's Vince Lombardi.
Yep.
It's Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers, and then I'm torn. Do I go Curly Lambeau as the founder and the original coach? Do I go Bart Starr, who brought Green Bay to like national prominence? That 4th spot is is a big question, but the first 3 should be no-brainers, and I would have to go. I would say, because I grew up as a little kid, the only player I ever knew outside of the Bears was Bart Starr and Roger Staubach and Terry Bradshaw. Those were the only ones. So I'm going to go Lombardi, Starr, Favre, Rodgers. That's my Mount Rushmore.
from Stevens Point chiming in saying his Rushmore would be Starr, Lombardi, Favre, and Rodgers.
Same as mine. Good thinking, Roger. Great minds. Great minds. And I'm not. I don't even have any skin in this game.
I'm surprised to see both quarterbacks in a lot of people's Mount Rushmores. I mean, the Packers have such a long history.
Right. That's why the
Correct.
Mount Rushmore is hard.
I feel bad
2
that
to
there's no
3
defensive
quarterbacks is
players on
wild.
my. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who I would put in from historic defense.
You have Reggie White. You have Ray Nitschke.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess too, for a lot of people, and if you talk to Packers fans, I think a lot of them would put Rodgers on there, but then the fact that he was only able to win the one Super Bowl, but yet get so close so many times, I think for some also tarnishes that, because that was always the biggest. When you talk to Packers fans, right?
Yeah.
That is where their mind goes. Well, he only brought us one trophy, right? And I'm going to go out on a limb here, hot take this morning. I don't even believe it was Aaron Rodgers' leadership that propelled that team. I believe it was Charles Woodson in 2010.
Another.
Yeah.
One of the greatest defensive backs of all time.
It's very hard. How do you narrow it down to 4?
Roger and Stevens Point says Star, Lombardi, Favre, Rodgers. Again, 3
Jamie
quarterbacks.
just read that. That was nice. Thank you. Thank you for the repeat.
3 quarterbacks is a lot. I have a hard
3
time
quarterbacks
putting
is a
all
lot.
3 of them on.
That is.
Yeah.
It. There's got to be other. And that was mine too. But as I think more about it, I think it's because it's easy with quarterbacks, right? They get all the headlines. Everybody knows it. So
Ryan, what is your Mount Rushmore of Packers boogeymen? The people,
Packers
the names that just haunt you. Because I'm trying to think of it that way.
Wow. Brett Favre.
Aaron Rodgers. Enemy number 1.
Randall
Yeah,
Cobb.
those 2.
Oh,
But you mentioned Reggie
BJ
White.
Raji.
Yeah.
wow. Look at the Bears
Now
fans
I'm-
really thinking
now I'm
through
really-
this one
Yeah,
this
it's
morning.
like, well, there's
I
so
can
many
see the
nightmares.
suffering.
It's like
Donald Driver.
Again,
Ahman
where do you-
Green.
it's like
Yeah.
who makes the Mount Rushmore of that? The same list that made the Packers Mount Rushmore, because all those people brought dread to Bears
What
fans.
I love is that
Jordy
we can't
Nelson.
just land on anything
Yeah,
because
it's
there's
not
so many
easy.
people to choose from. So, good
All
job.
right, well, when we come back, it is going to be after the news, and we'll share some stuff you need to know. A lot going on in the next hour, Swipe or Stay, and we'll talk to the fabulous Farm Babe. It's all coming up on Daybreak right here on the Civic Media Network.
The fabulous Farm Babe.
Maybe
Yeah, man.
Mike
Yeah.
McCarthy will finally get to meet the new Mrs. Aaron Rodgers.
Not a chance.
No.
Did you
I saw
see
a picture
the
the other
AI
day. Was that
picture?
legit? Was that an
No.
AI
Is
picture?
it the dreadlock one?
Yeah.
That's not real.
Okay, I didn't know.
I know. My
surprised-
wife tried showing it to me too.
Would it surprise you though if that's what she looked like?
No,
Knowing
and I
what we
think
know
that's
about
why
Aaron
it gained a
Rodgers now?
lot of traction.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows? It could be
It could be real.
anybody.
Is he? Here's
Could
a
be
question.
nobody.
I mean, it took years to get Favre back into Lambeau to do like the reunification and the instatement into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Is it going to be that long for Rodgers, or did he leave on better terms even though Packers fans were tired of him?
A lot better terms, I think. Frankly, because as tiring as he was,
He was.
he didn't become a Viking.
Oh, he was exhausting.
He did not become a Viking.
No, he did not become a Viking. No, that's true.
So,
That's true.
and that was like important to Favre.
Yeah.
So was being in the division.
Well, Ryan Longwell, I'm sure we've all heard that story. The reason Favre played that last year is because Ryan Longwell, another former Packer, actually went to Mississippi and brought him back. And they flew down in the private Vikings plane. They were like, dude, are you like, come back, please? And that's why Favre ended up playing that last year. So I pick him as the reason why. Roger says, I couldn't pick Reggie or Woodson since they didn't play half of their careers in Green Bay. Good point.
Still
understand that.
impactful though.
They were.
Yeah.
In the 2010 team, Rodgers was never I didn't ever see Aaron Rodgers as the best team leader. And I know people who have reported and worked in Lambeau who will say the same thing.
Yeah.
And Charles Woodson propelled that 2010 team to the Super Bowl. I mean, even when he got hurt and broke his shoulder, his collarbone, standing on the sideline during the Super Bowl, he was still running with them up and down the field and things. He propelled that team. He carried it on his shoulder. And the defense, after he left, they didn't have that kind of leadership. The defense changed when Woodson was released.
Sure.
All right, it's coffee time.
Have fun. Coffee time.
Oh, it is 7 o'clock.
Coffee time.
7 o'clock.
Fruit snack time.
Oh,
Look, Parker. Ooh.
Ooh, fruit snacks.
ears perked up.
Did you find the treats yesterday?
No.
Oh, I forgot to show you.
Actually, ask you about that.
Yes, I'll show you. They're not hard.
Is it above the desk or below the desk?
It's below. It's in the one that's.
Is it? It's like Marco, Polo.
It's one of the file cabinets that is on the floor that faces Jack's office, and then it's right on the It separates the two. It's part of the cubicle wall. Okay. I can show you.
Chilled monkey brains.
I mean, or we can play hot and cold, and I can just.
That's a great socials video.
Good.
I can just tell you when you're getting close to the popcorn.
I can smell it.
And then a better socials video will be watching Sage try to open it, and wrestle with it.
I don't blame him.
He really wanted popcorn. He did not want the Oreos. And I think he ended up going with the little Ritz cracker things because they were in the bottom drawer and that one wasn't locked and stuck. I don't even know if he ever did get his popcorn.
Not that day.
I could not quit yawning today.
Okay, you messaged me that you were running late.
I was running really late today.
And I was like,
I wasn't sure because.
And then you got here, I'm like,
traffic
didn't
was
feel that late.
There was enough traffic because usually when I'm on my way, there's not a car.
No,
it's usually just me. But there was enough traffic that I was like, oh, are these people going to actually make a right turn on the red? Even though, because they can, because there's no sign that says they can't. Are they going to actually do it? Because if they don't, then it does put me way behind.
Yeah, sure.
So, and then I also was late enough that because at 5:30, the lights go from just flashing to actually changing.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, damn. There's cars and it's not just flashing now. So that was the only reason I was like, I might be a little later than normal today. I wasn't sure how it was going to play out, but I ended up hitting all of the greens. So
I was like, this is not the latest you've gotten here.
I wasn't sure, but I didn't want you to panic because I was like, this could be hinky. We'll see.
We got 15 seconds till we're back.
Wisconsin wakes up here. Back to Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. If you're in Madison, listening on WMDX, or in Wausau on WXCO, or in Wisconsin Rapids, listening on WFHR, thank you so much for having us on. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. Glad you're here. It is just after 7 o'clock. Getting ready to head out the door, but there is more you need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
Right, listen, it's long weekend. Perhaps you'll be venturing outdoors. The weather is supposed to be nice. You'll be hiking around. You'll be cutting the grass. You'll be doing all kinds of things. Well, Fear the deer tick. Yes, more than half of tested deer ticks in Wisconsin are carrying the bacteria that causes Lyme disease. According to a new Marshfield Clinic study, researchers analyzed nearly 12,500 ticks submitted by residents through a citizens' science project. Of the 707 adult female deer ticks tested, 51% carried the Lyme disease bacteria, higher than expected. Wisconsin has recorded a record 6,469 Lyme disease cases, or they did in 2024. Cases quadrupled over the past 20 years. Now, experts stress the risk of infection is relatively low, only about 3%, since ticks must be attached for 24 to 36 hours to transmit the disease. So what does that mean? Yes, get home and just like monkeys, check each other for ticks. It's going to be fun. Turn it into something else if you're consenting adults. I don't want to get in your business, but just know there's ticks out there.
Don't ask questions.
Yes, but I don't ask questions. I just think of scenarios in my mind. Most of the ticks that were submitted for this were wood ticks. They don't spread Lyme disease, so the findings highlight the need for awareness, especially in high-risk regions like southwestern Wisconsin. So, again, be careful with the ticks. I had one a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
It was gross.
Aspie and I went out for a hike this past week, and when we came home, I pulled 3 off of her, or 4 off of her, and 3 off of me.
Oh, nice.
And they were, so they were just crawling around. They still hadn't, found a place to just kind of nest and do their thing. But she's hilarious. I always know when she's got a tick on her because she's got really short hair, so she feels it start to crawl up that really short hair.
Oh,
and
okay.
she absolutely will not let it go. She absolutely won't until, and she will continue to turn. She'll just sit down until somebody does something about it. So I always know.
Fix me.
Exactly. So I always know when she has something crawling on her because she is very persnickety about how that feels and how that feels on her hair. So I can usually mitigate those pretty quickly on her. But they were in my socks and everything when we got home.
That's gross. My little dog is very fluffy. And she likes to wander when we're walking. And so, but I spent the other night, we were cutting burrs off of her for a half hour.
Oh, yikes.
I'm like, oh, okay. But
so
you and your dog and everybody be careful. Be careful.
Use the repellents if you have to. And I know there's a lot, when it comes to your pets, I know that there's a lot of people who are skeptical of the medicines. I get that. Talk to your vets. Make sure that they're on something proper because here in Wisconsin, well, we don't have a shortage, obviously. In other stories this morning, stuff you need to know, this is good news if you've been following the cases in Minnesota because a woman there described as the mastermind of a massive COVID-era fraud scheme has been sentenced to nearly 42 years in prison. Her name is Amy Bach, and she was convicted of wire fraud and bribery tied to the Feeding Our Future case. Prosecutors say that scheme stole more than $250 million in federal funds, with only about $50 million recovered. Bach has been ordered to pay over $242 million in restitution. The case is considered one of the largest pandemic-related fraud cases in the country. Federal officials announced these new charges against 15 additional suspects linked to related fraud schemes. Now, new cases involve more than $90 million in additional alleged fraud, including misuse of child care and Medicaid funds. Officials say some schemes involve falsifying meals for children and inflating staffing numbers so that they could collect the government money. Authorities emphasize that the crackdown is ongoing, with a growing federal effort to investigate and prosecute fraud across the Midwest. It's funny. This is great. What I think is interesting is for all of the rhetoric that has been involved in this fraud scheme, and that Nick Shirley video that we saw a few weeks ago, months ago now. Time is just of the essence in my mind at this point. But that we saw. Turns out that it wasn't the Somali community that was prosecuted after
But they
all.
look different. We got to go after them first. No, this is good. In Minnesota,
good news, yes.
It shows and it takes all the argument away from these MAGA folks who were, well, what about Minnesota? All the corrupt, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they're investigating it. And just like they're investigating the ICE shootings, and they're getting the job done. So why don't we take a little cue from them and maybe prosecute people like they deserve to be prosecuted? So good job, Minnesota, and well-deserved punishment.
Yes.
You want to cheat, and you get caught, well, you got to pay the price. All right, this is good news. The big story today is good news for Wisconsin voters because a federal judge has rejected the Trump administration's attempt to obtain Wisconsin's full unredacted voter registration list. The administration has been requesting detailed voter data, including partial Social Security numbers or driver's license numbers, saying it needed it for verification efforts. All right. The Wisconsin Elections Commission refused, arguing that releasing that level of personal data would violate Wisconsin privacy laws protecting voters. So the U.S. Department of Justice sued the state, claiming the information was required to ensure compliance with federal election laws, including the Help America Vote Act and the National Voter Registration Act. The DOJ also argued the records should be released under a provision of the Civil Rights Act of 1960. Well, bad news for you because the Supreme Court's voting all of that away, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. U.S. District Judge James Peterson disagreed. He ruled that voter registration lists do not fall under that section of the Civil Rights Act. And because of that finding, the judge dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning the federal government cannot refile the same claim. The ruling didn't address other arguments, however, focusing solely on legal questions of whether the Civil Rights Act applied. Voting rights advocates, including the ACLU, intervened in the case and warned the request could be used to create a national voter database or challenge voter eligibility, and we're seeing that already start to happen in some places. Advocates argued the effort could lead to eligible voters being wrongly flagged or removed from voter rolls, and we saw this just the other day. We reported on that too. Wisconsin's one of 29 states in the District of Columbia targeted by similar lawsuits from the Trump administration. I will let you divine why those 29 states are being targeted. I don't need to tell you that. You're smart enough. Courts have now dismissed at least 8 of those cases, signaling growing legal resistance to the strategy. It sounds like the same strategy they used after the 2020 election. File all these lawsuits, lose in court time and time again, and yet keep hammering on the lawsuit and the fact that we need this to get voter registration, and we got to get rid of all the dead people and the illegal people that are voting, all the people that shouldn't be voting.
I mean, it's just another way to erode trust and to make sure that, as we've said, the right people, we'll put that in air quotes, are actually voting in the elections. What I thought was fascinating is that they tried to use the Civil Rights Act from 1960. And specifically, I did a little deep dive into this. They were looking at Title III as part of of that law that they were trying to use so that they could get these records. Now, that law does allow the Attorney General to inspect election records to make sure voting rights are protected. The key difference, though, is that oversight is not the same as unlimited access. And that was the argument that Judge Peterson made in this particular case. You just don't get to sweep up highly sensitive data like driver's license numbers and Social Security numbers without some sort of clear justified reason. And that was essentially what the DOJ was trying to do to Wisconsin voter rolls. And this has been an ongoing debate, right? Just a few months ago when the vice president was here, they asked him specifically about the voter rolls and things like that, and he made a point to say, yes, we're gonna, it's if you don't have anything to hide, you should be willing to hand them over. Well,
I hate that reasoning. What do you got to hide? I don't know, my privacy. Just because I don't want you to have my information doesn't mean I did something wrong.
Right. And
Parker, are you listening? I'm sorry. Are you listening to something in there?
No. You have something
I'm hearing a guy. I'm hearing some guy talking.
Do we have something running in the background? Anyway, we'll get that.
Sorry,
yeah,
out. It's driving me nuts, and I don't know if I'm the only one who can hear it.
No,
okay.
I can hear it once in a while too, periodically. And
all right, I know, I'm like a dog going squirrel, 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 but I'm like, wait, we're talking, and then if you're watching on the stream, you see me. I'm taking my headphone. I'm looking around like I don't have any speakers on. I don't have anything on.
Yeah, I was just checking all my stuff too. Make sure everything's turned down.
Sorry.
I've got all my. No, you're good. You're good.
But
I've
somebody
got all
else
my
probably
stuff
was
turned
hearing it too. Anyway, to your point, yes, that excuse that they were using. Why don't you just turn it over?
Yes, and it's not. The 2020 election. Let's be clear once again. It was litigated from every angle. There were audits, there were recounts, there were court cases, there were legislative reviews. Even the investigator that was brought in by Robin Voss, Michael Gableman, to investigate the 2020 election could find no fraud, and then had his law license suspended for 3 years by the Wisconsin Supreme Court because of his role in the investigation of the 2020 election. So no matter your politics, I mean, we should all agree that our personal information should be protected, and that the federal government really has no right to have that information just readily on hand.
If you're somebody who's arguing for this, imagine if, some sort of registry where they had a list of every person who had a gun and every gun they had in their house, and they have part of your address. How would you feel then? Do you want to? Well, listen, if you're not doing anything wrong with that gun, why would you be afraid of the state giving all your information to a national database? Because I don't want them to know. That's why. Right. Because it's none of their business what they know my social security number because I have to file taxes all the time.
Here's another question that I have for maybe Republican voters. Do you care anymore? It's been 6 years. Your guy won 2 years ago.
Here's the thing, though, Jamie. If we keep harping on that, then we don't have to start it fresh for the next election. We're still in a continuum of look how corrupt these elections are. Look how rigged the system is. There's widespread voter fraud. We've been talking about this for the last 10 years. So why would it have changed now? It's all part of the bigger plan. If you keep sowing mistrust, it's a perennial, to put it in gardening terms. It's going to keep blooming. You don't have to replant it every election. Right. It's just there, and it's always going to come up.
I guess at this point, if no matter how you vote, the question should be, why do we keep relitigating it, and let's move on? Are we not going to start addressing some of the issues that are even bigger? And I think, and I understand why they're doing it, but if you voted for this administration, do you care anymore? And are you ready to just move on?
Well, we're starting to see that already, right? In Congress. Yeah. A lot of the Republicans are like, this constant obsession with 2020 is hurting everybody down the ticket, which I'm all for. Let them, sure. That's okay. Sure. But yeah, if you're a Republican, you got to be going, just shut up.
Right. Move on.
We won. We won, and we're gonna keep winning. Everybody's winning, bigger, better. Hey, we're going to swipe, or maybe we'll stay. We don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to find out next. Frank's going to jump on. It's Swipe or Stay next on Daybreak on the Civic Media Network. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was really distracting.
I could hear it. I was just like,
what? Really? I haven't heard anything at all.
It stopped once I called it out. Whoever was trying to pirate the signal stopped. But it was definitely a guy voice, and it was I have nothing on here. That's why I took my headphones off and everything. I was like, but as long as Jamie heard it too, then I know I'm not nuts. Well, I don't know I'm not nuts, but I know I did hear.
I was going to say, we already know you're nuts.
Yeah, I didn't, but I was hearing something.
Huh. I have no.
And the reason I asked you is because I saw you looking over at the board. It looked like doing something, which is what you're supposed to be doing. But I was like,
then as soon as you said it, I was like, well, let me check my volume, because sometimes I forget to turn it down. I had all my stuff down. I didn't have anything open in the.
But you heard it, right?
I did. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Because before I saw you take your headphones off, I actually started checking all my tabs, because I was like, well, maybe I accidentally opened something.
God, I never picked up on that at all. It's weird.
Like a stray commercial or something.
Yeah. Because I have all the news stuff open too. So sometimes they throw up like an ad when you least expect it. But I even have all my volume down. I've got everything muted.
Yeah, all I have open are Google Docs and email. I don't
I'm not blaming you. I was just asking.
No, but I don't know where it else it could be
Pop-ups.
coming from.
Yeah, there's always.
If both of you were hearing it, and neither
Parker,
of you
see
have,
me after the
you're
show.
right. Okay, Frank, I will.
Wow.
And
Why don't we fight right now? Why don't you get it out right now, boys?
I'll get in the car. I'll drive to you.
Frank, I
you
see
guys-
your
We'll have
sweatshirt.
it out.
You can
I
meet
went-
Milwaukee.
There you go.
You know how the other day I said I couldn't find Buffalo Trace?
Yeah.
I went into Jewel yesterday. They had not only like 6-8 bottles of Buffalo Trace, they had Willett's Special Reserve, they had E.H. Taylor, about 6 bottles, and they had a Blanton's. And then the manager had to come out and open the special case to get me my Buffalo Trace. He goes, I got some Eagle Rare in back too. I'm like, what the hell is going on at
So
Jewel?
you didn't buy the bottle
Couple
of
seconds.
Blanton's?
No.
Erroneous.
Everybody I talk to is like, Blanton's isn't that great.
Let's break out of the bubble and see what's happening out there in pop culture. It's Swipe or Stay on Daybreak.
7:22 right now. We hope that you are having a great morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's the Civic Media Network. This is Swipe or Stay. We're going to put the politics aside for just a few minutes with our senior producer, Frank, while we dive into the pop culture world. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good.
On the live stream after the segment, we'll talk more bourbon, Brian.
All right.
I'm a little disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Dude, if I had spent $90 on that bottle yesterday, which is
It
all
would
it was.
be fine. We'll get in. It's
You're
all
not
right.
married to my wife. Let's swipe or stay.
We're going to swipe or we're going to stay. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to read some pop culture headlines. Brian and Jamie will have to decide whether to swipe on to the next story or stay and hear more. Parker gets to be the tiebreaker if these two just can't decide. Real quick before we get into swipe or stay, because I didn't want this story on the swipe or stay portion because it's kind of weird. Kyle Busch, the famous NASCAR driver, did pass away unexpectedly yesterday at the age of 41. Right now, we don't have much details as to why. We just know that he was in poor health and it was very rapid. We'll keep you updated if more stuff comes out next week, but that's
very
really all there
strange
is.
because we found out he passed away late in the afternoon, and about 4 hours prior to that, there was news that he had been admitted to the hospital with a severe illness. We'll put that in air quotes.
Yeah,
and
that's
then within
all they
4
kept
hours,
describing
he
it
had passed
as.
away. So it was, if you're a NASCAR fan, I mean, yeah, that's or a race fan. That's pretty shocking.
It's rough. All right, on to the more lighthearted stuff.
Benign, yeah.
Famous guitar company sparks major controversy.
Ooh.
How many? There's Gibson. There's Les Paul, or no, LesUl is Gibson. I don't know. I should stay. Let's go.
I'm gonna stay. Plus, you play guitar, so we'll dive
yeah.
into this story for you, Frank. Stay.
Snacks man.
Thank you. Let me go down a real rabbit hole. Okay, so this is this is really interesting when it comes to trademark stuff.
Okay.
So Fender now is quickly becoming the most hated guitar brand in the world.
Why?
Ooh.
This is thanks to a lawsuit that they won. So back in March, Fender scored a default judgment against Chinese-based Yiwu Philharmonic Musical Instruments Company in the Dusseldorf region in Germany. That set out that the Fender Stratocaster was no longer a simple trademark, but a copyrighted work of applied art. This is very important.
Wow. Okay.
Therefore, in recent weeks, after that ruling in Europe, multiple guitar makers have received letters from the law firm Bird & Bird informing them of the EU ruling and demanding that as a result, the brands in question cease producing guitars that use that type of guitar body. They have to recall and destroy any existing unsold inventory, provide sales data on how many of these instruments have been sold, and provide financial restitution for damages and legal fees. Now,
I have two birds for you.
yeah,
Bird
if
and
you're on the
bird.
live stream and you're not sure what I'm talking about, this is what we're talking about.
All right.
It is
Okay.
the stock image that you think of when you think electric guitar. So
Right.
Fender is coming out and saying, well, if this shape is a work of art, nobody can use this shape.
It's like a basic guitar shape, right?
It is the most copied basic guitar shape.
It's
at
like
this
an acoustic. All acoustic guitars look exactly the
They
same.
all look
Right.
exactly the same. So everybody's speaking out against Fender. Two very important
Wow.
YouTubers that I even subscribe to have gone out on a limb and said this is probably going to ruin my relationship with Fender, but this has to be stopped. It's a huge issue right now. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but Fender is really pissing people off.
Story, but it is very
that is weird.
interesting. Very
I know.
interesting.
Yes,
Look at
no,
us
that's
talking about
fascinating.
business and trademarking.
Business and
Wow.
art and guitars and YouTube and
It's like we
All
know
right.
stuff.
Moving on, the Britney Spears DUI arrest footage was released, and yes, we do have audio.
since you have audio, I'm gonna stay.
Ooh,
Otherwise, I don't like to
Jamie.
take. Come on, Jamie.
Sure, we'll see.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Peer
All right,
pressure.
the audio quality is not great, but if you
Oh.
listen close, listen. It's from the department, from on the scene. Listen closely, and you'll hear the exchange.
I take Lamictal and Prozac every morning, okay? I'm like a Stepford wife. Okay. Baseline is Prozac. Every 60% of women take Prozac.
Okay. Therefore, it is extremely dangerous to human life to drive while under the influence of alcohol or drugs or both. If you continue to drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs or both, and as a result of that driving someone is killed, you could be charged with murder. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir, I know. My mom accidentally killed a man on a bike.
Okay. Now I'm just going to read
But
you
I
what's
didn't.
called.
I never did that before.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Well, that's
This
good,
is
I guess,
true.
that she never
This-
killed a man on a bike.
This is true. Her mom did kill somebody on a motorcycle in a driving accident.
Wow.
But the
Did
fact
she
that her-
basically call herself a Stepford wife?
She's
Did I hear
not
that?
basically. She 100%
Okay.
literally did.
All right.
What did she take besides Prozac every morning? I missed that first thing she took. She said, I take something in Prozac every
Yeah.
morning.
I believe
And
all I know what was found in her system was Adderall. I think it's Adderall and Prozac.
The Adderall, Prozac every
Wow.
morning. Wow.
Okay.
So that's
Oh,
why
Brittany.
the police
Well-
officer said if you continue to do this, you could. Yeah, yes, sir. I know. My mom
My
actually
mom
killed,
killed a guy
somebody
on
on
a
a bike, but I've never done that before.
Well,
Hell,
there's still time, Brittany. That's the good news.
At least we know how we
Wow.
got all the dancing videos on social media at one point.
Wow.
See, aren't you glad you stayed?
No.
All right, we've
Yes.
got 1 minute. Neighboring state proclaims state sandwich thanks to TV show.
Oh, yes. I'm down.
Stay.
Illinois has made the proclamation that the Italian beef sandwich is the official sandwich of the state of Illinois, thanks to the show The Bear, which is set at a famous beef shop. Brian, real quick, you've lived throughout the state of Illinois. Does it deserve the title?
Anything south of Cook County, they're going to tell you it's the horseshoe.
The horseshoe was named as the official open state sandwich, so it did get recognition as well.
Okay. I would see, I was going to say the hot dog, but then again, that's a Chicago thing. The beef is a good pick, but not because of the bear. The bear sucks.
Okay. You heard it here first. That's Swipe or Say.
Thanks, Frank. Great week again. When we come back, we're going to talk to the fabulous farm babe. Pam Yankee joins us to talk about some issues in the agricultural community here in Wisconsin. It's Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
All right, and Pam is actually here already.
All right.
I didn't need to change the thing. There we go. Good morning, Pam. How
Good
are
morning, Pam.
Morning, guys. Yep.
Good morning, Pam. How are you?
Peachy. Thanks. How about you guys?
I'll go
Sounds
with
like
peachy
things are
as
off to
well.
a-
Why not?
Sounds like things are
I
off to a
love-
rip snorting start.
I love that you just said peachy. That's how I usually answer people, too.
Yeah, so there were when we saw these two stories, we were like, well, we got to talk to Pam, see what's really shaking out on the farms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. I should probably scroll down.
How long
to
do
the
we
right-
need this to go, guys?
About 14 minutes.
Okay.
So we'll be out at 49.
Okay. Last name has got an H in it, fellas.
Oh, whoops. I'm sorry.
Jah. Hard German.
There we
Come on, Parker.
go. I'm bad.
Well, it wasn't ours. We didn't type it.
I beg
We-
to differ because I copied off of the show notes, but okay.
Ouch. Look at this tit for tat, going back and forth with the blame game.
Yeah, just saying. You will not question my valor.
Frank, you still talking to Parker after the show? Put another line on the agenda.
Anybody got anything fun this weekend?
Might be going to Bratfest.
Oh,
I think.
Oh, are you going to Bratfest? That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think so.
Weather
should be a very nice
hopefully be
weekend.
decent.
Yeah, the weather this weekend should be great.
How about you, Pam? Anything good?
No, I hit the road. I'm up in Green Bay at our house by Titletown. So my home farm is just north of here. So that's what got a nephew that graduated from technical college. So we're going to be grilling out steaks over the weekend, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So
Nice.
checking the farm. I got to check my winter wheat. Just home, chill.
Home stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm like. We're going to
Yeah.
do some stuff at my mom's tomorrow and then we decided we'd take her out. She's in assisted living and we're moving. We have to move her somewhere else. So we're going under the guise of packing up the fall clothes. And I was like, the winter clothes. And I was like, well, you want to go out for a beer? And at 89, she's always up for a beer. She's like, yeah, we'll go. That sounds nice. I said, all right, good. Then we'll go out and we'll take you to the place we went last time. She had her first flight at 89.
Oh.
I was very excited.
My mom's 92 and still lives on the farm.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Sharp as hell.
People on farm, it sounds like a cliche, but my wife's grandmother had lived on a farm and she was strong and healthy all the way up to the day she died. It's just a different mindset and a different ability. And it's not a joke. It's like, I don't know what it is, but the air and the hard work and the,
and it's a responsibility. She feels like she's got to feed the cats and she's got to get the mail. And, it's just, and that self-reliance kind of thing. She does.
Yeah.
She does not, she doesn't mind a little help, but then she is pretty verbal about get the hell out of my way.
Well, yeah, when it's a purpose, and that's a lot of people get to a certain age, they don't feel like they have any purpose anymore. And maybe that's it. There's always something to do on a farm.
Oh,
so
for sure.
You always have to keep doing it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what's a crazy time to be a farmer? It's always a crazy time to be a farmer, but it's it's getting more and more challenging. Where are we at, Parker?
You got about 30 seconds or so till we're back.
Perfect.
And Pam, just so you know, when we get down to our last couple of minutes, I'll give you hand signals how many minutes we got left. And if you start to hear music, it means there's just a couple seconds left. Got to wrap it up. Thank you very much. We'll get going in about 15 seconds here.
Local voices, statewide impact. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. A little sunshine in Madison today and hopefully around other portions of the state. Should be a great Memorial Day weekend around Wisconsin if you have any outdoor plans. It's 7:35 right now. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Well, it's not news to anybody. We're all paying more for groceries, gas, utilities. Farmers, though, have added costs, including, among other things, diesel fuel, fertilizer, and these costs are requiring farmers to make tough choices about how they spend their resources. In addition to rising costs, farmers are also paying attention to a new trade deal with China. It is always a pleasure to welcome Pam Jahnke, the fabulous farm babe and host of the Midwest Farm Report, to the program. She's here to give us a few updates on the state of Wisconsin's agricultural community. Pam, always good to see you. Thanks for being here. So, as I said, we all know costs are going up everywhere. But where are farmers in Wisconsin seeing the biggest rise in their input costs? Is it fertilizer, fuel, something else? And how are they adjusting to those increases?
A lot of it depends on every farmer's individual. That's part of the reason why I love the industry. Many farmers tried to be proactive in 2025 and pre-purchase their fertilizers at least as much as they could. 2025, the problem was a lot of our retailers did not want to give you a price, or they couldn't get a price because things had already started to unwind. So a lot of farmers put money down on their fertilizer last year. If they ended up being needy and had to buy more, then they really suffered the consequences with escalated prices. So fertilizer definitely caught our attention right out of the bat. Diesel prices. Now, again, remember, farmers are very proactive. It's part of our tax strategy to try to prepay for a lot of the inputs that we're going to need the following year, and take the tax benefits, take the discounts that our dealers and cooperatives offer us. If we can accept delivery of some of those things, that really helps us out too as far as peace of mind, because last year you might have been able to buy the fertilizer technically, but getting delivery of the fertilizer was the other thing. Okay, I bought it from you. Where is it? That kind of thing.
Right.
So there were a lot of different moving parts that already started to impact producers at the end of 2025. Now we're into 2026. Diesel is another one of those elements where farmers will generally try to buy in advance or maybe contract what they're going to need. Many farmers will buy what we call red diesel, which is a little different than what you're going to see at the pump. It's farm grade. So they'll get a little bit of a discount per gallon, but it's still pretty doggone expensive. Everything that we do in agriculture requires horsepower, and for the most part, horsepower requires diesel. You're not going to see, that's one of the big struggles they have with this idea of an electric tractor. Really hard to get your RPMs and your horsepower up on an electric tractor. We still rely very much on diesel. So that's been something that's hit them. You alluded to the fact that we were really caught in a quagmire, being unable to sell the crop that we grew in 2025. China shut the spigot off. They started to channel all their energies as far as purchasing of specifically soybeans to South America. Now, you have to understand, the United States and South America are always toggling for the world soybean market, and let's just call that China. So remember, Southern Hemisphere right now, they're basically in their harvest window, so they will serve the world market until the United States soybeans are ready to go. What got screwed up is China said, no, we're not gonna work with, we can't rely on the United States anymore. We're going to take everything from South America, excuse me, and that left a lot of U.S. soybeans in our storage, in our warehouses, waiting for the market. Well, we're still kind of waiting on that market. Now, you alluded to the conversation the president had with China President Xi in Beijing, $17 billion of agriculture commitment annually through 2028. Well, that's all well and good, but the devil's in the details. We do not know where that $17 billion will be spent. Right. It will not be spent in soybeans. It will, exclusively. It's not going to be exclusively in soybeans or corn. Some of our beef producers said they're thrilled because they have finally gotten phytosanitary certificates so they can start moving beef back into China. Now you say, hey, wait a minute. I hear stories that there is no beef in the United States. We're short ourselves. Yes, we are. But in China, they look at what we call variety meats. They like the tongue, the heart, tripe. They like things that the United States does not want. And that adds value to the carcass that our U.S. beef producers are growing. So there's a lot of different pieces that are moving right now. Farmers have got their operating costs, obviously, I won't say covered, but they know what they are. The seed is in the ground. And as is our nature in agriculture, we're optimistic that by the time we get ready to harvest, the market will present opportunities for us to sell at a profit. And that's what everybody's watching for right now, including myself. My home farm, we only have 100 tillable acres, but I can't screw it up, if you know what I mean. At the rate it costs me per acre for fertilizer, seed, diesel, and some hired labor to help us out, I can't afford to make a mistake. Or Ma Yankee, we were talking about my 92-year-old mom on the farm. All of a sudden, Ma Yankee's got an alternate lifestyle that she's going to have to think about. So anybody involved in agriculture has got to take every penny seriously. And like I said, now that farmers have got everything in the ground, now we're going to have to come back maybe with more fertilizer, might have to control some weeds, might have to control some insects. So there's more inputs that will come. Every time we make a pass on that field, it's going to be more diesel, it's going to be more labor. But at least if we get the seed in the ground, we feel better about the chances that we're going to be able to pay our bills and rally back. So like I said, it's not a nice place to be in. We certainly wish that Mother Nature would have treated us a little bit better in Wisconsin earlier We thought 80 degrees. Oh my goodness, we're going to get started early. And then all of a sudden, slap, bam, we're back into freezing overnight. So it's going to take probably another 45 days, I believe, before a lot of Wisconsin farmers will be able to express with me any confidence on what their crop looks like, how they're feeling about it, and what their bottom line potentially could be by the time that we roll to December.
We're talking with Pam Yonke, the fabulous farm babe, also the host of the Midwest Farm Report, MidwestFarmReport.com. When we're talking about the affordability and a little bit of the stability, I've read reports that there's some farmers that are thinking about shifting from maximizing their yield to maximizing their profit. And I want you to explain what that means and if that's a big mindset change for the farming community.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's a mind frame change. This is what we do. This is what we do. If you're right. No, this is, I mean, quite frankly, let's slow down and just think a little common sense here. If my unit price is higher, I need a higher bushel return. If I have to have higher bushel return, I want more bushel. I mean, if the price is low, I got to have more. If the price is high, I don't have to worry quite so much about the yield. And listen to me, there is not a farmer out there that looks for average. Do you understand? How many of you wake up in the morning and say, okay, yeah, today I think I'm going to just be average? Wisconsin farmers are always looking to up the ante. They are always looking to raise the bar. And obviously that's great if the prices go up, but it's necessity if the prices are low and expenses are high. So that mind frame, I've never witnessed a farmer that conscientiously said to me, "Oh no, I'm not going to worry about yield. I'm going to worry about, cost per unit." Everything, the kitchen sink goes into farming today. You don't miss a trick. Whether it's how many hours of labor am I going to hire, how many units of N am I going to put on, how many pounds of seed am I going to? I mean, you have no idea how finely calculated every move is in agriculture today, because of the conversation that we started on the outset. My margins are shot. My possibilities are limited. I have uncertainty all around me, more so this year than we've seen in a little while.
Pam, we were talking about, you talked a lot about the fertilizer and the pre-buying and all of that. There was, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was reading this and it said that some farmers are cutting back on the fertilizer because, to piggyback off what you said, they want a higher yield of their crop, obviously. But does cutting back on the fertilizer, how does that affect the crop, if at all?
Well, oh no. So again, how much do you know about your field? That really gets to be the issue. A lot of farms spend a lot of money on soil sampling, so they know exactly what nutrients are out there in that field. For all of you that get irritated with our dairy air when we're spread manure, that nutrient is absolutely, in a year like this, so incredibly valuable to Wisconsin farms because of the nutrients it brings back to the soil. That is incredible. And now you stop and think about a state like Iowa, where it's corn, beans, not necessarily livestock, or other states that are just corn, beans, wheat, with relatively little livestock influence. They have to buy all of their fertilizer. Okay. In Wisconsin, we are blessed that those dairy cows, those beef animals, those hogs, those chickens give us those nutrients in that form. So that's one of those things that, like I said, I understand people's irritation with it, but as a farm kid, that saves me a lot of money. That saves me a lot of effort, and it's also good for the soil. So, like I said, Brian, the how farmers approach things are in every element, from my labor, from my energy, from my inputs, and then how am I going to backstop it, and what is the yield going to be? They don't cut fertilizer, generally don't want to cut fertilizer just because of its expense. Right. If the soil needs it, I got to have it. Maybe I take a different look at my source, or I may try to do it in different, we have so much technology, forgive me, we have so much technology, we can exactly put down fertilizer exactly where we need it. Okay. So those kinds of things are deployed to try to help us. But boy, the only time that we really back off on fertilizer is, quite frankly, if there is literally no money in the checkbook.
Wow. Okay.
Growing up in South Dakota, back to the conversation about the fertilizer. I had friends growing up on farms who called that liquid gold, is what they called their fertilizer. As you mentioned and alluded to the fact that the next few months are going to be really telling for the farming community, Pam. But how will farmers know if this potential trade deal with China is actually working? If it's made any sort of difference as the months wear on?
Again, it's the devil's in the details. Right after the announcement was made, our corn, our soybeans, our wheat rallied pretty good, about 13 cents. If you were of the volition that you wanted to kind of hedge your risk and you feel pretty good about what your crop, maybe you've got a full bin of beans that you could sell today, or maybe you feel pretty good about how your crop's developing right now, then you probably stepped in. Now we wait and see. Is it going to be beef? Is it going to be wheat? Is it going to be canola? Is it going to be fruit? We don't know what the $17 billion will ultimately be spent on. Every move that China makes relative to that announcement, the market will react and hopefully farmers will capitalize.
Well, Pam, it is always a pleasure and very informative speaking with you because, we all know how much we depend on the agriculture industry. We just don't know the ins and outs and the challenges that are presented to farmers across Wisconsin and across the country. Pam Jahnke is the fabulous farm babe and host of the Midwest Farm Report. You can go to MidwestFarmReport.com. Have a great weekend, Pam. Thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, it's tough going, and I would imagine as you look to these deals, and I can't, I don't know, since I'm not a farmer, but you got to be, as Pam said earlier, optimistic about what could come and realistic about the bottom line of everything. If you missed any of our conversation with Pam or you miss any of our conversations, go to Spotify. You can subscribe to the podcast. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie, so make sure you do that. Then download the free Civic Media app. That way you can listen to Midwest Farm Report. That way you can also then listen to us wherever you are. And
we also had a quick text come in here from Chris. Says, as a former farm kid married to someone from Michigan, every time his wife complains, he tells her that's the smell of money, referring to the fertilizer.
Yeah, and that's it's true. You got to have it. All right, when we come back, there is so much more because this is Daybreak, and this is the Civic Media Network. I wasn't sure if we had time for one more question with Pam or not, because she's very good at answering questions.
No, that worked out, and it's always great having her. She's always so insightful about
she's
everything.
Terrific. Matthias, good morning. Can you hear us? We had your camera. When I could see you down on the stage, you had your camera, but now it seems gone. Matthias, if you can hear me right now, please go over to on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a private chat, and just let me know what your situation is right now. And this is a shorter break. We'll be going on just a little after 52. So if we're unable to get the camera figured out, Matthias, we will need to have you call in probably.
There he is.
There we go. You got us, Matthias?
Hello.
Hello. Good morning, Matthias.
Morning.
Thanks for being here. Oh, he cannot hear. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us at all, Matthias? I know it sounds silly, but please do me a favor and just double check that you've got your sound all the way up.
Let us know if you can hear anything, Matthias. I'm guessing no. No, can't hear? Okay. It's Friday with technical issues. That's going back to what Pam was saying. I've never had to endure the smell of the derriere. with the fertilizer, which I guess is a blessing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep talking just in case there comes
Yes.
a point where Matthias can hear us.
Yeah.
I don't know, Parker.
Look, Sam was just saying in the chat here that he's going to try to have Matthias call in for us.
There we go.
Perfect. All right. That would be lovely.
That will work.
We'll stall. We'll tap dance. We'll do a little thing.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
There we go. Got the message.
There you go. You look very nice.
That
He was
is
all
one of the
dressed
funny
up.
things.
It's always funny because you're like, oh, they got it.
Thank you.
Or they're just sick of trying and they went away. No.
Yeah, they're like,
Kidding.
screw this. Kind of rinky-dink operation they're running over
We're
there.
going to try coming back.
Try
in.
one more time. Matthias, can you hear us now?
I can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yay.
Ah.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
We have got just a couple of seconds till we're back, guys.
Thanks for being here.
Happy to.
All facts, no fiction. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's the Civic Media Network. Happy Friday, 7:52 right now. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Now, even before COVID, there was a movement in this country that not only questioned and doubted science, but also began spreading false information around medical treatments, research, etc. A Harris Poll survey of over 2,000 U.S. adults commissioned by Bayer reveals a profound misinformation paradox around science that is having a profound effect on American life. Joining us to talk about the study is Matthias Berenger. He is the Executive Vice President and Head of Public Affairs, Sustainability, and Safety for Bayer Global. Matthias, thanks for being here this morning. We appreciate it. Let's start out with this. Explain the term misinformation paradox.
First of all, good morning and happy Friday from my side as well, Jamie and Brian. Yeah, the paradox is that we use social media as our number one source of information. That includes the information about science. We are frustrated with the kind of information we are getting, and we are losing trust in science. So we are all well aware that the way we are consuming and communicating about science at the moment gets us into a dead-end road, and that's the paradox in a nutshell.
One of the things that I thought was most fascinating as I was looking through this study is the shift in young adults. In fact, the study says that nearly 1 in 5 distrust doctors and science. So I guess my question is, what is driving that shift? And if younger Americans trust friends and influencers more than the expert, how do we go about rebuilding that?
Well, I mean, I'm also very worried about it, and I have friends who are medical doctors, and maybe you have heard those stories as well. That's ground zero for the loss in trust in science, and people will get sicker or not will get the right treatments as a consequence of that. So we really see those effects trickling down all the way to ground zero, which would be the medical practitioners that actually spend a lot of time in learning a lot about how to make us healthier and have often done a great job. So big problem. I don't think that social media will ever be the place where things get better. The reason being that things are forwarded too quickly. Social media can play with emotions in ways that we really can't control. They're able to trigger our darkest impulses through social media. So my hope is in the next generation of media consumption, which would be artificial intelligence. However, we need to prepare us for that. So artificial intelligence, if used as an oracle, will make things even worse, I believe. But social media used in a way that allows us to question data, to kind of engage in a conversation about science, could be really a very interesting alternative to today's consumption habits. And that's also a way to back out of it. So if you ask me, is it that that social media, or is it the underlying mistrust in things like vaccines, with drove vaccine skepticism? I believe social media is the key propeller of scientific misinformation across a wide array of topics, which is why having different media consumption is the way to go.
Matthias Berenger is with us. He's the executive vice president and head of public affairs, sustainability, and safety for Bayer Global. Bayer.com is their website. Matthias, as we're talking about this, we're talking about the real physical problems that could come from people following all this disinformation. But there's an emotional toll that the study found that I found interesting. What emotional toll are we paying for this misinformation that we're consuming?
Well, if you can't trust anybody anymore, you feel more lonely. There's a lot of research about the loneliness in our society. It's very much something that also the younger generation is heavily affected by. So a loss in trust, be it in science or be it in something else, makes all of us lonelier. And that's a huge emotional toll. The other thing is just the frustration that the headline grabbing and emotion propelling way people talk about science today gets us into places where we resort to snake oil or other things influencers make money with, rather than relying on science when it comes to one of the most important things for humans, and that is our health.
We've got about just about a minute or so left here. So is there any optimism that we can actually turn this around, or is this just unfortunately part of the landscape that we're going to end up living with now and into the future?
So first of all, I think the game changer in the way media consumption, online search is happening gives me cause for optimism. It means we need to all go back to the drawing board and learn how to have a different conversation about science leveraging AI. But the biggest source of optimism for me is that in a country that seems not to be able to agree on anything across the party spectrum, we can't even agree that the sky is blue at times, I feel. In that country, though, a vast majority across all demographics agrees that us advancing scientific progress here in America is something we all want. And that's, I think, a bedrock to build and to regain trust in the future.
Isn't that feeding more into the paradox again, where we admit, yes, we need more science, and yet we don't trust science, but we need more of it. We're just not going to trust it. That part to me didn't make sense as I was reading it. I was like, I agree that we do need more scientific research, and we are falling behind. But then if most people aren't going to, or a lot of people aren't going to believe it, where do we go? How do we get those things to align?
I think it's important to trust in the scientific process and not so much about the science. If we trusted every scientific study, we still would believe the world is flat. That's not what we need, but we need to rebuild trust in the process.
Well, Matthias, thank you so much for being here. Matthias Berenger, Executive Vice President, Head of Public Affairs, Sustainability, and Safety for Bayer Global, Bayer.com. You can read the report. It is fascinating. Thanks for being here, Matthias. Have a great weekend.
Have a great long weekend, too. Happy Memorial Day. Bye-bye.
Same to you. There's more when we come back. It is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
All right, we're clear.
Thank you, Matthias.
Thank you.
Sorry for the technical problems. I think our Wi-Fi.
No, it was
No
great.
worries. It went
great.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate your
Take care.
time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
When I looked up at the clock, I only caught it with the corner of my eye. I thought I only had a minute left. So good thing I was wrong.
We got it in.
It was good. That was interesting.
Yeah. It shows how dumb people. That's the thing. This last question is like, we're so dumb, but we know what we need, but we're too dumb to believe it.
Right.
Or too dumb to,
Don't you think, though, there's this whole form of weird, I guess, online peer pressure, too? I mean, there's this people who feel like they're keyboard warriors, so they feel like they can say anything. But then I think there's a whole nother subsect of people who literally feel the peer pressure, and they probably have always been susceptible to it, of what they're seeing online. or the fact that they don't actually read the full story and they are getting just pulled into all of the misinformation and the
Yeah.
AI generated headlines. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's several levels to people online. The young adult aspect scares me
Yeah.
because these are the people that I expect to be smarter because they have grown up in a like an internet world where they've
Native,
always
is that
had
what was the term yesterday? Native internet
Yeah,
natives?
internet native.
yeah.
Internet natives. See, I do pay attention.
I just feel like I don't know, that scares me that they're being sucked into like this misinformation cycle.
It's again when you hear things all the time
Yeah.
and you're hearing from an administration that doesn't believe in science
Right.
and doesn't believe in vaccines or medical treatments or antidepressants, and it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah. It's very strange.
What am I supposed to believe? And then that people don't understand the scientific process, which I think is what Mateus was at the end, because we saw it with COVID, with the vaccines. Well, why is today's advice different than last week's advice? Well, because we're following the process. We're studying it. It's changing. It mutates. We have to change just like it does. So
Yeah. I mean, that's just it. As more research is done and things, things are going to change. It's not going to stay the same. I do just really worry too that in this country with the misinformation campaign that's the constant misinformation campaign, we fall behind the other countries at this point. Like the United States was always good at the research aspect of it, but other countries were always a little bit more advanced in some areas. It's that sort of competition and why all those groups work together, right? I understand that. But this administration has gutted so many things that it worries me that we're falling way behind other countries and being left on like this weird little island with this science. Or lack thereof, I guess now.
science. She blinded me.
Mr. Plow King says, as we were talking in Swipe or Stay about the beef sandwiches, that he has a buddy in Oshkosh who has an Italian beef place there, and he does correct it to say Italian, not Iranian. But they put cheese whiz on their
Italian
sandwich.
beef, impossibile. That's a cheese steak. That is not an Italian beef. And I have no hatred for a cheesesteak. I love a good cheesesteak.
Cheesesteaks are delicious.
Yeah, cheese whiz does not go on an Italian beef. Cheesesteak is for cheesesteaks.
Let's be realistic. Cheese whiz really has no place anywhere. Unless it's
you
a
gotta
Ritz
get a
Cracker at a party.
The whiz. I used to bet when I was in after college and I was broke, cheese whiz was always fun.
Of course.
There was that cheese whiz phase where you like, oh, I'm fancy. I'm eating cheese and
It's like
a nice cracker.
silly string for adults. On a
Yeah.
cracker.
Did you bring my cheese whiz, boy? What movie is that from, Parker?
No idea.
The Blues Brothers.
Frank says it's
You
beyond
got my cheese whiz, boy?
Frank says it's beyond blasphemous to put cheese whiz on Italian beef, hot and sweet peppers only.
Correct. And I also don't like the people who put mozzarella on there. I don't like any cheese on a beef sandwich. Peppers only. As God intended.
One of Max's favorite meals is a Philly cheesesteak. Like that's
I love a
favorite.
good cheesesteak.
Oh, they're delicious. I make a really, obviously there are places that you can go, not in Wisconsin, that make a really great cheesesteak. I make a pretty good one. Could be better. I got to keep fine tuning it. But it surpasses when he wants a cheesesteak for something. Because he's only found a couple at restaurants around here that are like, he's like, that was good.
Jersey Mike's makes a pretty good cheesesteak.
I think he does Jersey Mike's periodically.
Yeah.
Because they'll deliver to his apartment too.
Ah, there you go.
All right. We got 15 seconds.
From Lake Superior to Lake Michigan, this is Wisconsin's Morning Conversation. Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
It's 8:06 right now. Thank you for joining us this morning in Appleton and Oshkosh. If you're listening on WISS or in Eau Claire on 93.5 The Tap or in Hayward on WBZH, we're glad that you decided to join us on this Friday morning. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. If you missed our fascinating conversation in the last hour with Matthias Berenger, the battle between viral misinformation and shared belief in the value of science, you can always go and listen to it on the podcast. Go to either civicmedia.com. You can listen to us live all the time and see a podcast.
.us.
Huh?
.us.
.us. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's, I don't know why we have such a strange thing. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I love the company. I need to build it up on Spotify. Spotify, it's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie. No .com, no US, no nothing. It's just
Easy.
us, and it's our
Type it in.
podcast, and you can subscribe, and so you can go there and do it. .us. All
That's right. And make sure you follow us on social media. If you are a social media fan, Daybreak with Brian and Jamie, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can follow along with all the adventures besides just the ones here on the show.
Sure, of course. And it's the top of the hour. So while we're not going to adventure right now, we are going to share some you need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
Can't we just say it? See what happens? Just once.
Is the FCC really going to care at this point?
They're too busy trying to drum Jimmy Kimmel out of the core. Who's going to... And listen, hey, listeners, do me a favor. Just, not that we'll do it, but would you be offended if we actually said the S word? Milwaukee would ban... Here's the top story. Milwaukee's going to ban data centers with more than 60,000 square feet, according to a new plan, and more strictly regulate smaller data centers under a new zoning proposal. The file, which needs approval from the Common Council and Mayor Cavalier Johnson, surfaced about a week after local residents learned that plans to redevelop a former Walmart on Hope Avenue include a small data center. However, the new proposal won't affect the Walmart redevelopment plans, that according to the alderman, Mark Chambers, whose district includes the building. The new proposal would change the city's land use definitions to distinguish data centers from general office and substation distribution equipment uses and set parking requirements for data centers. They would be allowed only in industrial light and industrial heavy zoning districts where they are limited use to cooling systems. Where they are a limited use, to cooling system restrictions. So in those zoning districts, a data center of 20,000 square feet or less is a limited use. A data center of more than 20,000 square feet, but not more than 60,000 square feet, would be allowed as special use, requiring it to obtain approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals. So basically what this is saying is they don't want data centers right in your neighborhood.
Right.
Data centers need to be off where data centers need to be.
I mean, and this is pretty much the story that we've seen across the state for all of these different communities fighting back against these data centers. But I think it's interesting because when we've seen this play out in several small communities, I think the fact that Milwaukee is now starting to set stricter limits, I think that means that other cities might feel a little bit more freedom to follow that. Maybe like the city councils and things might be like, if our one of our bigger cities can pause this a little bit and put some restrictions, maybe it's time for us to relook at it. So hopefully it's an example for some of the other cities across the state. But, economic development, that's what they keep telling me. They keep telling me the utility costs are fine. They're not. Ask anybody who's got a data center in their backyard.
They're not. They're using water. They're using electricity. What was it the other day? There was a big power outage, and it turns out the data center right up the road had sucked up all the juice.
It's amazing to me that 5-6 months ago, this was barely a blip in the conversation. And now this is a daily occurrence. And it's not just here in Wisconsin, it's happening all across the country.
Yep.
And so it's mind-boggling to me that 5-6 months ago, this was we'd see a story here or there about these data centers, and now all of a sudden it's everywhere, and every state in all sorts of communities, all different sizes, are fighting back against this almost day in and day out. So, and some of it has even had to go onto ballots about what states and the residents want to do at this point. So it's kind of mind-boggling that we got here as quick as we did.
Well, we're too far down the road to turn back, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So.
In other stories of stuff you need to know, this one's fun. I love this one.
This
the
is
American,
fun.
We don't, it's news. Sometimes it's heavy news cycles. So the fact that we get to talk about fun stuff once in a while is good for the mind too.
For the soul.
That's right. The America 250 wheel also is connected to the National Semi-Quincentennial celebration this year of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And it turns out that America 250 wheel, you're going to be able to ride it if you attend the Wisconsin State Fair.
Wow.
It's being presented by Meyer. The wheel peaks at 230 feet high. That is 75 feet taller than the prior Wisconsin State Fair Wonder Fair wheel, according to a statement put out by the Wisconsin State Fair. Sounds amazing. No, thank you. I'm terrified of heights, but each their own. Show me the pictures. The American 250.
We will. We'll all go. And
I would love to see
We'll go,
them.
and you can stay on the ground and go, oh.
I will feel so much better.
All right.
But the American 250 wheel is coming to the Wisconsin State Fair. Of course, the fair runs the 6th through the 16th of August. The fair says that it is the largest portable observation wheel in the world, and when conditions are right, the top of the wheel offers views as far as 14 miles, which is 4 miles further than the Wonder Fair wheel. Each of the wheels, 45
I love that
gondolas,
they keep pitting the two against each other.
I
like
know,
there's some
like it's
battle
some sort of
between the Ferris
competition.
wheels. Yeah,
I don't know, like next year they can put them side by side. Each of the wheels, 45 gondolas, which seat 6 people each, is themed to one of the individuals who has served as president of the United States.
Oh, God.
The new wheel has 9 more gondolas than the Wonder Fair wheel. We're not done comparing them, according to the State Fair. The fair is holding a flash sale. Actually, they held a flash sale yesterday to ride those new to ride the America 250 wheel. During the fair, though, the ride is going to be $7 if you want to, get that 14-mile view. So make sure you check it out because, again, the Wisconsin State Fair, August 6th through the 16th at State Fair Park. That is in West Allis. Hello, it's America 250 wheel. Super awesome. And it's the State Fair.
State Fair, 100%. We're taking Parker for the first time. He's never been to the State Fair, which I find I find astounding.
We're going to make you do all
astounding.
the things.
So we're going to I normally, like old school Ferris wheels bore the hell out of me. The ones where you're sitting. But this I would go, as long as I'm not in the Trump car. I will not ride. I will not. If one of the gondolas is Trump, I don't trust that it would stay up there. I don't trust that my wallet would somehow be sucked out of my pocket in that gondola. But I will go. Parker, are you gonna? Is this something you would ride?
I'm okay with heights.
Well, it's a gondola, so you're enclosed.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, first of all, I do want to say you said it was like 230 feet. That's why. It's America 250.
Should be 250.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I'm sure there's an engineering issue with the size of the wheel.
Another 20 feet. But yes,
we need another president.
The problem with Ferris wheels is they're so slow. I get that's part of the thing. You get up to the top, you gaze around. Oh, I want it then to just drop. Like,
have you ever seen a double Ferris wheel?
No.
Oh, like there's a one on top and one below.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And those are kind of weird because they go around at the same time, but then the top wheel and the bottom wheel can actually spin separately. And so before, I don't know when I got scared of heights. I think it became a thing as I got older. But when I was younger, I remember going on the double Ferris wheel. I remember going on it one night when the ride operator decided to flirt with the young girls in town. And he set that thing on like the highest level possible. We were just whipping. Like I will never forget it. And the ride lasted like 20 minutes. And it was terrifying because
once carnies come to town, bad things follow. Carnies, listen, if you're a carny and you're coming into town, good luck to you. But and I'm glad you're there. But somehow, we were never allowed to go to like parking lot carnivals or anything as a kid because my
Of the
parents
carnies.
did not trust the carnies to put
Yeah.
things together correctly. Now I know
It's true. Yes. Yeah.
that's the thing. They were worried about us, any sort of bad influence. They were like, I don't know if these guys can actually work a wrench, but they can. So yeah, I'll be riding this America's 250 wheel. We'll get you up there, Parker, and because we are trying to get a day where we all go to the state fair, so Parker can experience the fair.
I'm game.
And
Why don't we take? We'll take our cream puffs up in the gondola.
Oh, there you go.
We'll have a
like
little
Lady
tea
and the
party.
Trampet?
Little tea party up there.
Oh, I love it. Perfect.
Frank will have his pinky out.
I'll sit on the bench below, eat my cream puff, and watch.
Just
all
like
of
a
you.
mom.
That's
All right, I'll let the boys are
All
going.
right,
The
kids.
boys are going
Go
on the
on.
Ferris wheel. Mom's
right.
going to sit down on the bench.
It's perfect.
Now
Love it.
don't leave when you get off the Ferris wheel. I'll be saying you're right here.
Well,
You
I
just
think
come right over here.
I'm pretty sure the three of you are capable to do whatever you want. So
Probably.
maybe.
I would
Maybe.
hope
with
so.
Depends on how much fair fun we've had by that point.
All right, let's get to the big story this hour. The failed surplus deal would have sent Wisconsin budget into the red, according to new analysis. The failed deal on tax relief and school funding would have left Wisconsin in the red by billions of dollars, according to a memo released Wednesday by the legislature's nonpartisan budget office. How do you like them apples? The proposal died dramatically in the Senate last week after a coalition of Democrats and a few Republicans voted against it. The deal, which was brokered, as we know, by Tony Evers, Robert Voros, and Devin LeMahieu, came with an estimated price tag of $1.8 billion. The money would have been spent on direct checks sent to income taxpayers, general school aid, increased special education funding. Well, according to the analysis prepared by the Fiscal Bureau, that proposal, combined with pre-existing expenditures from the state budget and legislation passed over the last year and a half, would have caused the state to spend an additional $3.5 billion over 4 years. Boy, they didn't tell us that when they put the plan out, did they? That was, oh boy. The analysis found, assuming that no other changes in revenue or spending happen, that would leave the state with a $2.95 billion deficit. Oh, ouch. We didn't play that one all the way out, did we?
Don't we? Was that what they were banking on? The fact that there was a surplus, though, and the surplus could maybe take care of some of that deficit.
Well, they told us that the surplus would also not be depleted. That we were only going to use part of the surplus.
Sure.
There was still going to be about almost $1 billion, I think $750 million left in the surplus. Plus the rainy day fund was still going to be there, which is how some of us, myself included, kind of got a little misled, I would say. Yeah. I don't think I'm the only one who thought there were good points of that spending deal, but now this comes out and it's like, whoa. A, did somebody not do due diligence? Or B, were we intentionally lied to?
Well, and I think those are good questions. And I guess at the end of the day, and it would be interesting to talk to the school districts now that were so upset about not getting that funding, if they would still feel the same way now. I'm going to think that, short term, I guess at that point you're looking at maybe short term help for long-term consequences.
Right, but the short-term help was, don't worry, we still have money. It wasn't short-term help that's going to put us at a deficit. Yeah. And that deficit then lasts for how long?
Who knows?
So the people who said we were going to blow it all were right.
A balanced budget is just too much to ask for at any stage, I guess.
Oh, boy. Well, healthcare cuts and healthcare coverage, always difficult. There was a rally in the Chippewa Valley. We'll talk about that after this. It's Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
All right, we are clear, and we've got James on the line. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good morning, Parker.
Good
morning, James. Thanks for being here.
Oh, good morning, everyone.
I figured I knew who it is. I'm just going to throw on with them.
Yeah. Here I was thinking I haven't talked to Parker in so long. He just wants to have some chit chat before the show.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Parker loves it. He loves to
I'll put you
chit-chat.
back in the screen. Hang on.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Oh, my goodness. Is it nice today in the Chippewa Valley?
Yeah, I mean, the temperatures are still,
It's chilly
it's
yet.
not 80 degrees like it was last week, but I kind of like it like this.
I know. See, I always have more ambition to be outside doing stuff when it's like this.
Yeah, otherwise, if it gets too hot, then you
Yeah.
just got to walk around sweaty all
Right.
day. And
Nobody wants that.
It's just kind of gross.
Right. I'm with you.
No,
I
today's
always tell-
perfect
I-
big
Coming
lawn
from
day.
New York, too, the hot weather just means the smell of wet, hot garbage on the street.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, New York is funky in the summer.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is definitely.
That was the biggest when my daughter moved there and we went to help move her in and stuff. That was the biggest adjustment, seeing just garbage stacked
Yeah.
on the streets. I mean, obviously Chicago, we have the alleys to put it in, so you don't really see it. But
Yeah.
man, oh man, and then it's just festering.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's why sometimes I think like New Orleans gets such a bad rap too, right? Because their garbage is like right in the front of the house, and
Yep.
your run from the house to the street is so short that it looks like you've just got garbage piled in your yard, and that's not what it is. But
Not very aesthetically pleasing.
it's not
No.
for a lot of people, and then they think that it's just because that's the one critique that people would always say. People always say to me, "How do you love New Orleans? It's just dirty there." No, well,
it's not.
it's a city, so yeah, no city is like brilliantly clean, but no, it's not.
Chicago's pretty clean.
We got 15 seconds. James, our out is 30, just so you know.
Cool.
Now back to more of Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. It is 22 minutes after 8. Hopefully you're having a great Friday. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. We have bemoaned healthcare costs and healthcare cuts. They're a continuous worry for most Americans. Recently, Republican lawmakers voted on cuts to Medicaid, which would leave an estimated 250,000 Wisconsinites without medical coverage. Western Wisconsin has been hit hard by cuts in healthcare. 2 hospitals closing. All the Preva clinics throughout the Chippewa Valley have closed. Wednesday night, residents took to the streets to let their voices and opinions on the state of healthcare in the region be heard. Civic Media reporter James Kelly was there, and he joins us now to talk about the rally. James, thanks for being here. Now, I gave a few details at the beginning there, but how bad are things getting as far as access to healthcare in the Chippewa Valley?
Yeah, I would say they've been pretty bad for pretty much the entire time that I've been out here. I've been with Civic Media about 2.5 years now, and pretty much as soon as I got here was when those hospitals, the closure notices started to happen. So this has been something that I've been covering for my entire time out here. And, there's new hospitals that are on the way, but the situation in the interim has not been good. And even this week, I'm hearing stories from people who went to Mayo and Eau Claire and said, I need to be hospitalized for this or that. And they say, well, we don't have really any rooms or beds available. So let's put you in an ambulance and take you an hour and a half down the road to La Crosse.
Whoa.
Wow. James, you were at the rally that took place in Eau Claire yesterday. Tell us a little bit about that. Was this a planned thing? Was it more organic? Approximately how many people showed up to basically, say that healthcare is important, is essentially what they were doing?
Yeah, it was planned, but kind of a couple days notice ahead of time, which is, it's pretty impressive to get a few dozen people out there, maybe 50 or 60 at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday, with a couple days notice. That alone is a pretty impressive organizing feat. But a lot of the topics at the rally are kind of the same thing that we've heard. Emergency rooms are getting overburdened. So even if you don't use Medicaid, even if you have private insurance, this is still going to impact you. You may still not be able to get a bed if you need it. You may still get bills that you can't afford to pay. That's the reality of the situation right now when we're waiting for 3 other hospitals to kind of fully open up their doors over the next couple of years. But it's that interim time where the last few years have been very difficult for people to access healthcare, labor and delivery services. Specifically, people are driving over an hour to give birth, which is almost unthinkable.
Wow. James, as part of your report, which people can read at civicmedia.us, all your stuff is there, but you talked to an ER critical care physician while you were out at this rally the other day. Where did that physician place the blame for this current situation?
That has been inadequate Medicaid reimbursement pretty much since the Sacred Heart Hospital and St. Joe's hospitals closed originally. Those were the driving factors that were cited in their closure. We're just not getting enough in Medicaid reimbursement because, as you know, when you kind of get into the more rural areas of America, that's where Medicaid becomes a little more prevalent than maybe in the cities where private health insurance is a little more accessible. So when hospitals aren't getting enough in Medicaid reimbursement, all of a sudden things like labor and delivery services are no longer a profitable business. They're losing money on these services. And at some point, you can't just keep losing money and you have to close programs or you have to close hospitals and people have to go elsewhere and those places become overburdened. And it's kind of a cycle of not having the reimbursement rates needed to continue to offer these services that people do very much need.
We're talking with James Kelly. He is a Civic Media journalist. He covers the Eau Claire and Chippewa Falls region on WCFW and WSCM. I thought in your article it was also interesting that you heard concerns from some of the rally goers about election integrity. How are voters starting to react based on your conversation about some of the renewed questions about the 2020 election?
Yeah, that was something that was a little more spontaneous in the moment. The impetus for kind of going down that route at the protest was Tom Tiffany earlier this week commenting that FBI agents should continue to question election officials over the results of the 2020 election. And I was, listening to you guys last hour talk about, how many times do we have to litigate this, investigate this over and over again? This is 6 years ago now, and here we are in 2026 still talking about it. And some of the people that spoke at the event were poll workers who work in the Chippewa Valley and kind of shared that experience of like, there is no possible way to have fraud here. The amount of checks and accuracy and election observers looking over your shoulder, like these people are on top of everything that there could be out here. If there was fraud, one of these investigations or lawsuits would have uncovered it. It never did, but here we are still talking about it.
And James, you've been talking to people in that area for the last couple of years. Are they? And this was a question we were talking about amongst ourselves. Are they getting tired of all of this? Do you think this is hurting the Republican? From what you've gathered from talking to people, is it hurting the Republican Party here because of all that nonsense about the recounts and the investigations?
I would say there's definitely a tension on it out here, specifically because, the congressman who represents this district is Derek Van Orden, who, voted for the One Big Beautiful Bill and has had his own election integrity questions over the years. So I think, when the points of these rallies aren't necessarily to kind of drive change right now, it's going to be tough to kind of expand Medicaid under the current political situation or kind of move past these election denialism claims. The real point of them is to kind of put a face on it and say, hey, if you're upset about the way your healthcare situation has worked out, your health insurance, you're upset about the constant questioning of election integrity, these are the people who are at the top of the chain right now. These are the people who are talking about it the most and kind of putting that in your lives on a day in, day out basis.
Yeah. Well, James, we thank you for your time. Thank you so much for the coverage of this rally. Again, that is James Kelly, Civic Media journalist for WCFW and WSCM in the Eau Claire and Chippewa Falls region. Civicmedia.us to read this report and more of James' work. I mean, Brian, people are getting upset. Healthcare is being cut.
As they
We're
should.
losing rights. Yeah.
And if I'm a woman who has to be driven an hour and a half to give birth,
my gosh,
I am doing a lot more than crossing my legs and screaming. The screaming will be very specific. It's Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
All right, James, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
Thank
James.
you, James. That was great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah,
Thank
have a
you.
good day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I am going to run to the restroom in this longer break.
All right.
Good call.
The Chippewa Valley.
The Chippewa. Oh, yeah.
So many things in Wisconsin. I'm looking forward to the fair. I'm hoping we got to figure that out. That would be a fun day.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Get a lot of content in.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's stuff we don't have to blow it all in one day. We could do all different kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I used to love broadcasting from the fair.
Oh yeah, did you guys? Where
they
would
have
you do that?
They have a permanent studio right across from the
sweet.
dairy barn.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it was nice, and after the first year, I was like, "Can we get the microphone back?" So we would there's a microphone out on the crowd, and you could so we could talk to people. We played this. I played a game. I'm sure somebody's going to steal it. Stick or no stick, and we actually played it with Charlie Barron's, and
cool.
we would play it with. I came up. It's just a dumb game, and it's basically, I'm going to give you a fair food. Is it on a stick or no stick? And people loved it because it was so dumb and so simple, and yet people would stop and listen. People were calling in. People talked about it afterwards. After the first year, they're like, "Are you doing stick or no stick again?" I was like, "Yes, we'll do stick or no stick again." So for a couple of fairs, it was stick or no stick.
That's awesome.
It was a dumb little, and it was the Friday afternoon. You know, we always played a game. Our last segment on Fridays was a game, and some sort of trivia game where listeners would play against each other and stuff. But stick or no stick live was great. And we just had stupid little prizes. But when we played with Charlie Barron's, that was a pretty good viral clip.
Oh yeah, I bet. How did people do at it?
It was because I would use the actual list from the fair, so it was not, I didn't make it up.
Sure.
And some people would do really good, but then there were other things that people some of them were obvious where you'd go, "Oh, that should be no stick," and it was a stick, and vice versa. And that's what made it fun. It was just the simplicity. It was a 50-50 shot. Every time it's a coin flip, stick or no stick.
Yeah.
Oh, that stick.
Oh, there was a stick.
And people were just having fun playing it. They were just laughing. It was just a really fun, engaging little thing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And then, one of the street team would be there and give them like their little prize pack of stuff.
Yeah.
And we played it at Summerfest too, stick or no stick. But mostly
cool.
It was a state fair thing.
Yeah. No, that feels like a good home for that.
Yeah. But yeah, they have that studio. And first year I was doing it, I did it on a Saturday. And I was by myself. And on Saturdays, even the engineers weren't out there. And the air conditioner broke.
Oh.
And it was about 90, it was about 90, 95 outside. And it just kept creeping up. And as the show went on, by the time the show was over, it was 93 degrees in the fishbowl. Yeah, it was very rough.
That was always the best part about the circus wagon, is it was a food one. So it had all those flaps on all sides that we could open up.
Yeah.
So it was hot, but at least we had air moving through it.
Well, yeah, the mobile one that they use at Summerfest, and I don't even know if they're going to be broadcasting at Summerfest anymore because the new market guy was like, "I don't know why we're at Summerfest." But it was right on the water. So it was open.
So you get breeze.
So you get some breeze. It was nice, and it was in the shade. But it was also tucked away.
Right. We get about 10 seconds till we're back.
Across the state of Wisconsin, Daybreak with Brian and Jamie is back.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. We hope you are having a great start to your Friday. Well, for a lot of people, their day is just starting, Brian. We're starting to wind down our day.
Yeah, this is where I know people don't want to hear that our day is ending, as they're on their commute to work going, "What? Your day is over?"
we're sorry. We've also been
I'm
up
not
since like
I'm not
4
I'm
a.m.
not sorry.
We've also been up since like 4 a.m. So
I
while you
don't-
were sleeping, we were already up.
Yeah,
so.
I empathize, but I don't
Yes.
apologize.
And I don't expect you to feel sorry for us
Oh,
being
no.
up at 4 a.m. either.
No. No, but everybody's got to go to work. Everybody
gonna
gets
say-
up at whatever time. They have to work till whatever
We all
time.
do what we got to do.
That's right. Except today, Stephen Colbert can just relax because last night was the final Late Show, the end of a franchise on CBS. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. How do you feel about the diminishing late night TV landscape? And are you going to miss Stephen Colbert? And did you miss the Late Late Show when that went off the air, and when whatever other late night shows you watched are going off the air? I, for one, even though I don't watch them as much, if ever now, because of our schedule, I think it's very telling that the late night shows are going away. I did watch Colbert, but not given my preference was Jimmy Kimmel, or is Jimmy Kimmel. But I did like Colbert. I appreciated his show. It was a different sensibility than Kimmel's show, even though they both in the last couple of years have turned very pointedly political toward standing up to Donald Trump, which I admired and I found hilarious. I don't know. We all know that there's been speculation that part of the reason Colbert was let go or the show was canceled was because of political pressure. Now, CBS says it was all budgetary, but if you go back to the timeline, you can argue that there's too many coincidences. And you know how I feel about coincidences, Jamie.
You mean like that looming Sundance Paramount deal? Is that what you're referring to?
That is what I'm referring to.
Oh, okay. All right.
And
just
the
making
fact
sure we're on the
that
same page.
Paramount and Sundance were trying to do a merger. CBS bowed to Donald Trump's inane lawsuit over a way that 60 Minutes edited a Kamala Harris interview, which, according to all legal experts, the case had zero merit. But they settled it. Why? I don't know. But could it be that they were looking at the merger? Then, once they settled the lawsuit and they paid Donald Trump his money, pays that man his money, all of a sudden, hey, look at this. The merger goes through. And Colbert makes a joke on the air about it being a big fat bribe. And then the word comes down that the number one rated show in late night is being canceled. So you draw your own conclusions. I don't know what to tell you, but it is still a sad thing because late night TV, for most of us growing up, and Parker's, you're probably too young for this. This was not a thing for you because you were all, did you ever watch the shows or were you just a clip guy the next day?
I would watch like the full monologue of Colbert.
Okay.
That's about it. It would need to be a celebrity interview that I actually cared about. I'm not watching anybody at all. Yeah.
I mean, there's two ways of thinking about this. I definitely think the Trump administration has had influence. The leadership of Barry Wise being brought into CBS has definitely had influence. But I think too, the way we watch TV and we get our entertainment has also changed. I will say this though, it's just an all around sad day at CBS yesterday. Right?
Yes.
Or this week in general, because not only did the Colbert Show sign off last night, today is the last day that CBS News, radio news, is available. All of these markets, including markets that are part of the Civic Media Network, had to figure out new paths, new ways. I mean, this was heritage in both fronts, right? So it was just to see the landscape of media change as much as it has over the last few years, and then to just watch it kind of dwindle away in literally a 24-hour period at CBS is, if you're somebody who pays attention to those things, the history, you do love media, for whatever you think of it, it is very sad. It's a little bit of a mourning period, I think.
And it was not just a cancellation of Colbert. The whole franchise of The Late Show that was started by David Letterman is now gone. There is no more late night programming on CBS. Now, I know they're airing Comics Unleashed, but they are paying to have that on.
Yeah.
See, not CBS. Byron Allen's production company is paying to have that on. It's just, and maybe I'm thinking back too much to when I was in college and after college, when talking, like for my generation, it was Letterman. Everybody talked about Letterman the next day. Everybody you knew had watched Letterman. Then the next generation, for like buddies of mine who were in their 30s and stuff, it was Conan. Oh man, you had to watch Conan, and they were not just shows; they were cultural touchstones.
Yes.
They were a place we all could gather. We could all talk about things the next day. And did you see this, or what did you think of this? And then there was the drama over the late night wars between Letterman and Leno and Conan and all the late night TV was a big deal, going all the way back to Johnny Carson, where the amount of Americans, and I know the viewing was limited back then, but the amount of people who watched Johnny Carson every night, it just became a thing. And so this is truly an end of an era, and we have to move on. The argument, though, that it was not just about budget is that according to Colbert, staffers, and friends of the show, they were never approached to cut their budget. It wasn't like, hey, you can keep doing the show, but there was never any of that. It was, you're gone.
Yeah.
And so that erases or closes a chapter on a huge bit of history, because even, Letterman moving to CBS, remember how big news that was?
Yes, it was
and
huge.
when The Late Show started.
Yes.
And it's been nice to see Dave come back in the last couple weeks and do some things with Colbert. And
I mean, let's be realistic. David Letterman and the Sneezing Monkey is still one of the best, most watched clips on social media and on YouTube. It really is.
Letterman, and I don't throw around the word genius. He knew how to do TV.
He did.
By all reports, he's a cantankerous human being, but man, he could do television.
I don't know. I feel like when I watch him now, when he does his specials, he's mellowed a little bit, right?
Well, yeah.
I know he had his past. I get it. I'm not.
No.
I'm not.
Well, I would imagine the strain of doing a daily TV show takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
when you're a perfectionist like he is, and
let's be honest, he kind of got the shaft by the networks. If
Of
you
course he
remember way
did.
back in the day,
he
going
got
back
screwed by NBC.
He did. Absolutely.
1,000%.
So I think at that point you get to be a little cantankerous and be a little judgmental and probably have a few opinions of things, around you when you've kind of gone that route in your career. So
who was your late night go-to show, and do you still even pay attention to late night television? 855-756-855-75-CIVIC. Why am I looking at a C and making it a 6? 855-752-4842. Too many things running through my head. Too many emotions. I laughed so hard the other day. Did you see the clip where Dave came back and he and Colbert were throwing CBS property off the roof of the Ed Sullivan Theater?
Yes.
And then they ended it with the way it started with Dave throwing watermelons off, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal.
I thought it was a really great ending week for Colbert. I
have them
honest,
recorded. So I watched Monday's show last night. I'm trying to avoid all the spoilers for last night's show, because I'm going to watch that later on. But I know Springsteen was on.
Yep.
And did
I'm
a whole thing.
I'm not one who, because of my schedule, because I've done morning radio for a really long time, I didn't normally get to just tune in to late night TV. It just wasn't something I was able to do because of scheduling. I did, what I will say, and I won't give you any spoilers, but what I did find is that it was a really fitting, I thought, a good week and a good way to send Colbert off in a way that I thought was fitting for him, his show, his humor, how he got his start in that slot.
Yes. It was rough when he started.
It was really rough.
Really rough.
And I'll be honest, I loved Colbert when he was on The Daily Show.
Right.
I was a little skeptical of how this was going to work with him on a nightly show where it was just him, a monologue guest. I wasn't sure how that was going to work.
Well, you were not the only one. It did not work out well at first. But then Conan didn't work out well. Everybody takes a while to find their footing, and it was the election. It was the 2016 election that really got him really flipped him around. But he was on for 11 years. That's a long run.
It's a long time. It's a long time. Here's what I'm going to say as we've watched this shift in late night TV. This was their job, right? These hosts would get up and they would react to things that were happening in the world, in headlines. They would poke fun at celebrities. They would poke fun at politicians. This is what they did. None of that was new. It was just part of the job. And every politician went through their moment on the late night hosts. They all had a moment where they got roasted by them, essentially.
Yes. Everybody was in the barrel, as we like to say.
It's when our leaders can't handle being made fun of or can't handle laughing at themselves that you get, I think, what's eventually happened at CBS. And then I guess for me, it starts, and this was something I know we've talked about before, but where do we draw that line between now a potentially an administration being able to make the rules for what should be media and entertainment?
Well,
And
what happens
that's
is
what worries
then
me.
any voice of dissent is
Yes.
silenced. And unlike royal courts where the jester was there to poke fun and take the air out of the king, our king doesn't want that. Our king wants blind devotion. And so it's a hard day for television as an industry. It's a hard day for people who are like, well, why is comedy starting to die out?
Yeah.
And again, if it was strictly a business decision, then you come to them and you say, hey, we got to cut costs. And you can decide. You either cut costs or cut the show or bring in. And if it wasn't that, you could bring in a different host. But no, you canceled the whole kit and caboodle to make things happier. And now Jimmy Kimmel's back on the block because he dared to tell, like he took last night off. Kimmel's show went dark, ran a rerun yesterday. The
Which
day
I thought was a
before
pretty
he had
classy
told,
move. Yeah.
yes, and he did that when Letterman went off the air. But he said, he made a statement about, I'll be watching Stephen Colbert's show. I want you to watch it tomorrow night too, and then don't watch CBS again. Okay, that's been echoed by thousands of people but now Jimmy Kimmel, they're calling for him to be, fired again.
Here's the thing, too, and I was having this discussion with a friend the other day because one of the things she said is, well, media is supposed to be independent. And I said, yeah, but is it in 2026? It's owned by massive corporations. Board of directors are run by billionaires. There's private control over what we see, we hear, we don't hear. We've seen examples of it in the industry of owners influencing content decisions. We saw it during the 2024 election when
all the way
Jeff
back to
Bezos,
Rupert Murdoch.
right, and Jeff Bezos wouldn't allow the New York Times to run their op-ed, right? I mean, there isn't independent media anymore because it's privately owned.
All right. Well, RIP Late Show franchise on CBS. But on the other side, we're going to leave you on a high note. It's Dairyland Diaries next. She's Jamie Martinson. I'm Brian Noonan, and this is the Civic Media Network.
All right. Brian, I had a better song picked that referenced the show, but I'm not spoiling anything for you.
Better that reference the show. Oh, well, I know Paul McCartney sang on it.
Well,
is that the one you were going to do?
Yes.
I know he
That was very
appeared
nice
last
of you,
night.
though, to not want to do a spoiler.
That was nice. You're so nice, Parker. I can't believe it. Can't believe it.
Sage might be the only one here today.
Really?
Everybody's working from home.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a holiday weekend.
Home.
Yes. Yeah, Zommers is gone. Dom will be in.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
But that's it. Traffic's even working from home.
That's a normal thing. Traffic usually doesn't work.
Yeah.
I feel like one day a week, or doesn't work in
That's
the
because
office.
because actually Fridays are their worst days before a holiday, so they work so that they don't have distractions because they have to lock the logs by a certain time.
Yeah.
For 30-some stations.
Yeah.
Jack's still recovering from surgery. So.
Yeah. How'd that go? Have you heard from her?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She's doing well.
Good.
She can't sit up yet because it was a sinus surgery, so
Sure.
a lot of blood.
Ick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's doing well.
Good.
She's very excited for the healing process because she's been so miserable for so long.
Yeah.
So it was funny the other day I walked into her office and I was like, because she's been waiting for the surgery because she's wanted to feel better and she's felt so awful for so long. I was like, it's the day before surgery. I'm so happy for you. And she's like, isn't it weird that we're celebrating my surgery? I was like, kind of, but I am really happy for you.
Little wins.
I just know how awful she's felt.
Yeah.
And how sick she's been off and on for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I will celebrate that. And I will check on her probably tomorrow.
What was the surgery for?
She had, at one point in time, she has really bad sinuses. So she had balloons put in her sinuses at one time.
Oh, wow.
But apparently at some point, the surgery either wasn't done right, it was botched, something. Those eventually deflated, and they've just stayed up there. So she's got this blockage, and so she's always got a sinus infection, and then she'll get like almost like a stomach flu because of all of the yuck that drains, and then like it's been miserable for basically since I've known Jack for almost 2 years now.
Ugh.
Yeah, so she was excited to have surgery for obvious reasons.
We got 15 seconds.
Ooh.
We're going to milk this for all it's worth. It's Dairyland Diaries, a look at local stories around Wisconsin.
All right, well, if you're not jumping around this morning, it's okay. We'll forgive you because that might mean you're at your cubicle. But we're going to jump around, and we are going to celebrate Wisconsin because this is one of our favorite segments, Dairyland Diaries, where we highlight the good things, Brian.
Yes.
When you curate these stories happening around the state.
It is all upbeat things. There's no politics involved. It's just Wisconsin, and it's feeling good. And we're going to start with the arts, Jamie, because you know I am a patron of the arts.
Mm-hmm.
Saw Spam-A-Lot the other night. If you're going on a long weekend, if you're coming into Chicago for any reason, I'd go see Spam-A-Lot. It's hilarious.
It's always
if
a
you're
great show.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it was great. But if you're closer to home, the American Players Theater in Spring Green is receiving a Tony Award.
Also fantastic, by the way. If you've never been to APT, please make time. Put that on your Wisconsin bucket list.
And they're on their way to an EGOT because now they have the theater company, now in its 47th season, was named a recipient of the 2026 Regional Theater Tony Award on Tuesday. Along with the recognition, the theater will receive a $25,000 grant. When they announced the award, Heather Hitchens, president and CEO of the American Theater Wing, and Jason Lax, president of the Broadway League, called American Players a, quote, one-of-a-kind institution delivering world-class theater presentations to the Midwest. The Tonys recognize achievements in Broadway theater, but they include an annual Regional Theater Award. Tuesday's award is the first for a Wisconsin theater company in 6 decades, and the committee in the 6 decades that the committee has been singling out regional theaters. The American Players was founded nearly 50 years ago, and they produce timeless, challenging, poetic texts with Shakespeare at the center to the broadest audience possible. That's according to the company. The first performance in Wisconsin was a production of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream in 1980. The company's 47th season will begin June 6th, again with Shakespeare, this time As You Like It. They will receive their Tony the following day at the Tony Awards at Radio City Music Hall in New York. That is on June 7th. Congratulations to American Players Theater. Tony Award for a little theater right here in Wisconsin. Not
Have you ever
too
got
shabby.
to go to APT?
I have not, but now
Okay.
I must that
It's-
they're an award winner.
It's outdoors. It's beautiful.
Oh, I
You're in
love that.
beautiful scenery. You are basically in a theater of the round, so they really do try to keep it as far as like that Shakespearean
Yeah.
spirit. It is always a blast, and it's a beautiful drive. Spring Green is a beautiful area, so beautiful drive from wherever you're at in the state if you ever get the
Sounds
opportunity.
lovely.
It is very lovely.
And I love going to the theater, even Shakespeare. Sometimes it's hard for us to understand, but it is good.
Certain times of the year, make sure you have your bug spray. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, all
Because
right.
it is Wisconsin.
It's outside and it's Wisconsin. Yeah.
Exactly. But it is so worth it. All right. In other Dairyland Diary, I love this one because we know for a lot of older adults, especially if you're in a care facility or living with memory loss, the simple act of going outside can become very rare. Cycling Without Age, Marathon County is working to change all of that, one slow ride at a time. Board member and volunteer Chris Flitz said that the rides offer more than transportation. It gives people a chance to feel connected to the world outside again, saying everybody deserves to enjoy the outdoors. He said, quote, I think it's definitely something that those of us who are able-bodied take for granted, being able to simply walk out a door and stand outside. So Cycling Without Age is this worldwide movement. In case you don't know, they started in Copenhagen in 2012 and now includes thousands of chapter locations across the globe. Its mission, I should say, is to build around the idea that older adults and people with limited mobility should still have access to fresh air, some conversation, and the feeling of moving through their community. So in Marathon County, the program is entering its 8th season. Volunteers, which are known as pilots, use electric assist trishaws. These are 3-wheel bicycles with a comfortable passenger seat in the front so that they can take residents to care facilities and others on free rides. Now, these rides are not meant to be fast. That is the entire point.
Slow down.
That's right. Some rides are simple loops throughout neighborhoods. Sometimes they stop for an ice cream. That would be my ride.
Yes.
Some are built around the same, but they're all built around the same idea. They want to give people with what Cycling Without Age calls the right to wind in your hair. So I love that. That's fantastic.
It sounds fantastic, and I'd be the guy. You'd be asking for ice cream. I'd ask them to stop at the tavern.
There we go.
Just swing by. Let's go. I'll buy this round. So that's very cool. All right,
Room
we've
on
got
the
time
trishaw for all of it, Brian.
I would love a trishaw if I could, because the other thing is I love that they're battery electric assists.
Yes.
So they don't have to pedal around. Really quick, Luke Combs did 2 concerts last week in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. Sold them both out. Things went crazy. Well, Monday he decided he was going to go and play a little golf at Whistling Straits before the concert. So then he stopped because there is a big garage sale weekend in Cleveland County. And Finley Ulich is 10 and his brothers had a lemonade stand. It's a village of roughly 1,500. So they're there. They're selling lemonade outside their house. Some guy comes by and stops his car, comes over. He goes, well, what do you got there to drink? Because they had juice boxes or water for $1, soda for $2, or bubbler, which is sparkling water. That was $3 a can. The guy buys himself a little drink there, and he goes back to his car. Now, the mom is watching from the window, but she doesn't go out. The guy leaves $120 in their tip jar for these 3 brothers. Turns out it's Luke Combs. He stopped there, and his mom finally realized who he was. Now, Combs had a photographer with him. They took a picture. They published one, but it didn't have the kids in it. So the mom got a hold of the photographer, and she contacted them. She got the picture. But Luke Combs, big country music star, stops and drops a wad of cash in some kid's lemonade stand. Classy.
That's awesome. That's
classy.
awesome. And if you watch the Packers players and coach at the concert, you know they can all throw down together. So
yeah, that was a whole other thing. But everybody was having fun. That's
awesome.
Dairyland Diaries for this week. Hopefully you were in a little better mood as we head into the weekend. We're done. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Take a second to actually memory and memorial. I'm Brian Noonan. We'll talk to you next week.
I'm Jamie Martinson. It's 8:59. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. This is the Civic Media Network.
All right, we are clear. Live stream. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Happy
We'll talk to you on
Memorial Day.
Tuesday.
We will be back on Tuesday. Do not try to watch us on Monday. We won't.
But you
be
can
here.
listen
I'll
on
be
Monday.